Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's the guy who says, hey, stop laughing at me, yo. I am Rob Sisterino. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to It's Finale Night. Finale night coverage of a Big Brother 22. And it kind of wasn't a hot mess. So congratulations to Big Brother 22. Between how it started and how it ended, they figured out how to do a live show. So congratulations to Big Brother 22. Congratulations to Cody Calafiore, the second unanimous winner in a Big Brother proper history. So congratulations. We'll talk about it all here tonight. The highs, not too many lows here tonight on finale night as we get ready for a big night. We have our recap coverage starting here tonight. And then in just a little bit of time, Taran and I are going to be headed off to the Big Brother junket to go and do interviews with the final three and America's favorite player, Devon. So a jam-packed night. Thanks for joining us here for our final night of Big Brother 22. All right, let's just welcome. We've got a jam-packed panel for you here tonight to talk about it all with us. All right. And we have here with us, let me go clockwise around the panel. Here with us tonight, a man who said that he thought it was a great finale. Brent, welcome on. Brent, how are you?
It was a great finale. As I was telling you guys when we came in here before the show, I really thought it was going to be something we had to really labor through, and it was not at all. So I'm really, really excited about it. Also really excited that Enzo didn't get a little bit of schadenfreude and actually made it to the final two. By the way, I do want to remind you guys that we're going to reveal the first cast member of Sequester Season 4 at the end of the show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that. But I'm more excited to talk about this finale right now.
All right. Okay. We're very excited to have here with us. Royalty is in our presence. Please give it Keely. Please, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rob. I'm surrounded by goats. You're all the greatest of all time, and I'm more of the...
I'm the donkey. Let's go.
Donkey.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Welcome back, Priya. Of course, a man who has long summer's journey almost at an end. Here is the man who finally can rest after tonight. Taran Armstrong. Taran, how are you?
You know, I thought I wasn't going to be here, Rob. Tonight, I thought I was going to have to miss the finale coverage.
10 years, yo.
For 10 years, I've been waiting for this finale coverage, but I begged. I said, Rob, please, I've been with you since day, 5 years in. Mm-hmm. You got to bring me. You got to bring me to the finale coverage. And you did, and I'm forever grateful. I'm forever indebted, yes. Rob.
Okay. All right. You're my guy, yo. Okay. All right. We're very excited to have with us somebody who was with us on premiere night to bookend the season. Chantel Francis is here. Chantel, how are you?
I'm amazing. And I also have a new record album dropping tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Coming Full Circle, from premiere to finale with Rob Has a Podcast, BB All-Star coverage. Woo! Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which of the statements were not true? Chantel was on the recap of the Zingbot episode. We'll find out. Yeah. All right. And then, a woman who came so close to predicting the entire season of Big Brother 22, the voice of the people.
Listen, Denny at the end.
Listen, how are you?
I'm doing really great right now, Rob. So fantastic. I think, I really think it's better that it worked out this way. Just because, it was a lot of pressure on me. And I just feel like I'm honestly so happy that it turned out like this. So.
You're free.
If you think about
I'm
it,
finally
Melissa
free
is the
of the
real winner.
burden. I'm free of the burden of being a prophet. And I just, I feel really good about that.
Yeah. If you think about it, I'm the real winner because for the second year in a row that I am cleaning up in the Big Brother draft. And if it wasn't for Tyler being, a dum-dum at the end of Big Brother 20, it would be 3 years in a row.
Yes,
that I would
Rob,
have
king of picking the bro winners.
Hey, look, nobody, you don't pick them. That they fall to me.
Yeah.
I'm picking up distressed assets in the draft and winning on top. All right, so we've got a lot to do. We are going to be taking your questions over on Twitter. If you have a question you want to ask live at Rob Sisterino on Twitter. Again, Taran and I are going to be jumping off in about an hour or so as we get ready for our exit interviews later on tonight. The exit interviews are very late. This is, I mean, it's going to be past 1 a.m. on the East Coast for exit interviews tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nonstop today. We got it.
I don't know what's going on over there in between the end of the show and when they're doing the press. But okay, I guess let's start things off. Reactions to Cody winning. Taran, what's your reaction? This is not unexpected.
No, not overly unexpected, but I think still a good thing, in my opinion. You kind of dread the idea that, somebody might make the mistake to take Cody and then still win the game, and like what that means for the show afterward, that like, yeah, just be loyal and take the best player to the end and you'll still win. Clearly did not happen this time. I have to imagine that anybody going into next season is going to be thinking, I can't just sit back. It's not enough that I'm not being targeted. I need to make my own mark on this game, and I really hope that we see some of that next season.
Yeah, but Brent, do you think that just because that we can say that that's the narrative, is that the lesson that players will take from this? Like, I think that's a very smart takeaway from this season.
And Big Brother isn't known for casting their smart players. Let me tell you.
I guess we'll be in the big alliance with Cody. Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of these Instagram models that they put on the show, Taran, like they'd be fine sitting in juror number 6 or juror number 8, as long as they stay on the show long enough. So I'm hoping that they learn a little bit from this. I do want to point out that it should be noted that Tyler, who was also a runner-up in his previous season, he decided to come into the game playing softer this time. He said, I made too many final twos last time. I need to make less final twos this time. Cody, on the other hand, as you saw in his final speech, made more final twos, more final threes this time. He decided to play harder, and you clearly see the results on the screen. So I'm hoping that people can look at that and go, hey, it's okay to make a lot of final threes, final twos, stab people in the back, and even stab your closest friend in the back at the end and still win going away unanimously at the end. That's what I hope they take away from it.
Melissa, I saw you say on Twitter tonight that you were commenting on the highlight of the night, maybe one of the few positive emotional moments that we had from the season, of Cody's big moment in the episode when he had to make the choice between Enzo and Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I thought it was going to be a simple, okay, Nicole, you and I, we've been working together. Like, Enzo had already really kind of figured he wasn't going to be taken. So he was kind of like, he had already resigned himself to that. So when they cut back to everybody and everyone's crying, and Nicole is sitting there saying, like, talking in past tense, basically saying that, like, I can't believe you're not going to take.
I would have taken you.
I would have taken, like changed her words midway through. And I was like, whoa, does this mean he just told her he's not taking her? And Cody's crying, Nicole's crying, Enzo's about to cry, and everyone's begging Cody to take them. I don't feel like we've seen that before in a final three. I feel like most of the time the people already kind of know where their heads are at, where they're going, and there really isn't that moment of like betrayal, essentially, where Nicole thought she was in for sure. She thought, okay, Cody and I are both playing in this final HOH. We're both going to the finale regardless. It really doesn't matter. Like, we're each going to be either first or second, and that's fine. But then to see that, such good TV. So exciting. Best moment of the season by far.
But like Chantel, though, that I really feel like we have to give credit to Cody for that, because Cody played this really well all week. He didn't tell Enzo anything. He didn't tell Enzo, like, dude, I'm going to take you. I got you, man. None of that. Enzo was trying to get him to say it. He wouldn't say it. And Cody appropriately said, because Enzo didn't have any more power at that point, he said nothing to Enzo so that Enzo couldn't then go to Nicole. Cody, in my eyes, played it perfect. Also gave Enzo no time to think, oh, I'm actually in the final two now, so I got to prepare a speech, which you saw what his speech looked like. So I think Cody just, like, even though that was amazing to see, that the reason that happened was because of Cody.
Yeah. I know a lot of people tuned out of the live feeds in the last few days to weeks. But as the person who was still paying attention, like, the impact of this is even greater, because he really was day after day gassing her up. I'm definitely taking you. Stonewalling Enzo. Nicole has been practicing her final two speech for days because she was so convinced that it was going to be her and Cody sitting in the final two. And this was a brutal cut of a throat here from Cody.
I have a clip
Nicole.
of Cody evicting Nicole from tonight. Easily the best moment from the finale.
It's so hard. I mean, I feel like I played this game from the second we walked in here with the both of you. I had that same thing with him. And so, although it was such a blessing to have the both of you in this final two, this is horrible, like, to do this to one of you guys. But Nicole, I'm so sorry.
I literally gasped, and I was the first time I was shocked all season long. I was like, I was absolutely like, I was flabbergasted. I could not believe he actually did it, and I was like, that was the first time I really felt that he deserved to win, because I was like, he did that, and I didn't expect him to do that. I thought he would win regardless, but I didn't think he'd make that move on Nicole, and I was so grateful that he did.
Plus, it was a good move.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's what we had been saying he needs to do, but we didn't think he was going to do it because, you know, we had said on the roundtable even, like, they have a friendship outside the house. Their moms are friends. Yes. Like, he's not going to cut her. She's not going to cut him. That's the way this is going to be. And then to see this surprise, I mean, to shock us, like the people who talk about this game literally every week, I mean, that's something that you don't get very often. So, I mean, it was a great moment. I love it.
And I mean, he went into this, you know, the easy favorite to win ultimately, to correct probably what everyone has been arguing is one of the biggest faults in the game ever, to not cut your one person. Him and Nicole having this link, they have familial ties, season ties, whatever you want to call it. To do all this and then look her in the face and make that hard decision to cut her when she's there crying and begging and pleading, chef's kiss. And that's the one thing that goes to show you, when everything is predicted, when everything is looking obvious, it takes one thing not for the obvious not to happen for us to be wowed. Because it was like, I feel like
That's how bad things have gotten.
One move.
Best season ever.
We're that starved.
Like, it didn't change anything. Like, really, realistically, like,
Nothing.
Cody was going to win no matter what. And
Thank
then
you.
basically,
Yes.
like...
Oh, he didn't win 9-0 against the person we thought he was going to. Wow. Oh, my God. We are
What a
shook.
season.
These emotional moments really, like, they're few and far between on the show. And like, I felt like we had so much raw emotion in this finale between Enzo, who thought he had lost,
Right.
like, just so down on himself, to that moment when Nicole is shocked and you know how much this is, like, it pains Cody to do this, but he knows it's what he needs to do because of what happened last time. Nicole, in the realization that, like, oh my God, my entire game has been a lie. And Enzo realizing, like, oh my God, he actually took me. Like, I'm gonna get there.
Right.
There's so much raw emotion, and like, that's what I loved from this.
Right.
And it just, despite how shocking it was, that, like, that's a side benefit to me. It was the emotion here that I love.
This was like this reminded me of Liz and Steve on 17 when, like, because Liz thought that Steve was going to take Vanessa to the end, and then when he evicted Vanessa and took Liz to the end, the same, like, it's like, oh wow, like I'm in, like like I'm in the final two. I felt like Enzo, like, he had totally given up, like, dude. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about that competition, because that was, like, to me, that was the best night of the night. When Enzo's like, come on, put it up there. What, 15 minutes, 13 minutes? What did you do this in? 4 minutes and 55. Girl, I was smacked. I couldn't believe that. And Cody's, like, trying to keep it in, but you know he's so excited. And Nicole's excited because she thinks she's in there, like, somewhere. And Enzo's so pissed. And they won't even let him in. They won't even let Enzo into the house. They want to keep him outside so they see all that emotion stuff. Oh, it's so good. That was so great.
Yeah. Puya, would you say for Enzo tonight that this was like the moral victory? This was like the best case scenario that he did not get third place, that he went to the end. I think he seems like the happiest person ever to lose 9-0.
I mean, like, he's been sitting there, right? He's been sitting there for how many days? Since Christmas stood up to his face and said, congrats, you're third place. I feel like it's been in the back of his head. He loses both comps. He's exactly where he was 10 years ago, because I tweeted this out tonight. For 10 years later, he comes in 42 years old, wins a bunch of comps at the beginning. He's like, my one fault was no comps. Look at me now. I've got this. I've got the energy. I've got the comps. Yes, Cody's good, but so am I. I've been decent. Nicole's won too. That's fine. That's whatever. We'll take her out. He loses both. He's exactly where he was 10 years ago with no progression. So he's sitting there convinced that it's over for him. And at this point, he will take the upgrade, right? It's like, what's better than third place? Second and first place. I'll take second. If I can help it, I'll take second. So I feel like ultimately it's good enough for him, because, I mean, he's been sitting there convinced that he's not going anywhere for, like, how many days now?
I do like how, like, in retrospect, Memphis previous to tonight, was the only person in a regular season to lose unanimously. And having that experience, he was like, it takes one to know one. He was able to identify Enzo's the guy I want to sit next to. I'm going to make the wise guys is the lose unanimously alliance. And he was like, I can beat this guy.
Yeah, he was so thrilled. He was so thrilled when he did, like, he was almost like making the case for Cody in his jury speeches. Shows that Enzo was so bad in the jury questioning, right?
He was really bad, but you know what? He showed a lot of heart, and like I was actually rooting for him. I was like,
Me too.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to touch the heartstrings of all the people that he made friends with in that jury. Like I was like, hey man, I might even vote for Enzo here because you know he was doing it for his family. You know how much it means to him, and it wasn't this like young, buff, cute guy that's like winning a whole bunch of money. It's somebody that was going to do something with it for his family, and so I felt the heart, and it tugged on my heartstrings a bit. So I was okay with it, even though it was a little bit messy.
Yeah, and they
a lot of
laughed
it
at
messy.
me, yo.
Yeah.
I figured like I think like Cody was right when in that little like interstitial when they like cut away and Cody's like they're not laughing at you because I don't think they were like
No,
I
they
think
weren't.
it was a
They were
situation
endeared.
where it was like he looked so genuinely happy to be there in the finale and he's just talking about how proud he is of himself and he's kind of like moving around and like moving his hands and being very Enzo and I think it was more like we're all happy for him and we're like laughing along because it's like he's kind of being his Enzo-y outrageous self, but like so happy about it. And I feel like for me at least, it wasn't like, okay, he's really trying to win the money now. Like it's like he's already won. He's proud of himself. Like he really doesn't think that he's gonna win. And maybe that's not the case, but like that's the way that the speech came off to me because it was not a winning speech, that's for sure. It was just like I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. Cody is so amazing. I'm proud of myself though because I'm also here. So
Well,
like I didn't think I'd be here. So
to be fair to him, he started saying that after he heard the jury laugh at him, and he didn't understand that they were laughing with him. So I felt like he was like, "Well, f you all." Like I'm proud of myself.
Here's the jury laughing.
Yeah.
And they're laughing at him.
It does sound kind of mocking, to be honest.
Yeah.
and that's the thing is I do feel bad for him because it's like you never want to be like sitting up there like look at me I'm in this spot and like I'm asking you for something and then the people just like snicker. Like it's one of those things where it's like it's fun and endearing if he doesn't think he's going to win. He already knows Cody's got it, but he's just like, I'm happy I made it to the final two. This is what I wanted. And I'm kind of being outrageous about it versus like, I'm really pleading my case and now you guys are laughing. So like, I can see it both ways. Like for me, I did not see it as he's pleading his case. He probably was, but it didn't really come across that way.
I understand where you're coming from. Taran, I did feel like Enzo was trying to beat him. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't going to like dump on Cody because I feel like he felt indebted to him. But he definitely was trying to say like, look, if you want to vote for the comp guy, okay, there's your guy. I'll shut up. But if you want to vote for somebody who has heart, who has a social game, who never ever was in the eyes of any of you, none of you even thought about putting me on the block. I ask yourselves that. You guys didn't even think about putting me on the block. You thought about putting him on the block. You didn't think about putting me on the block. And like I'm like, oh, like Enzo came to play. Like I mean, I'll just disagree with those of you who think that he did a bad job. I thought he did a pretty good job for what Enzo, like, here's the thing. If Enzo's going to win, he's going to have to win on pulling on their heartstrings and getting them to like him and want to vote for him over their bitterness with Cody. He wasn't able to do that tonight, but that doesn't mean I don't think he tried. I think he did try. It wasn't successful. He was absolutely up against the juggernaut, Taran.
But he
I
didn't
think-
have a point though. He was just like floundering.
He's just like, I'm proud of
I know where
myself
he was
and,
trying to
like-
get to, but he was
Yeah.
just he had nothing.
It was half baked, I think, and that's
Yeah.
because he had an idea for what he wanted to talk about, but he didn't think he was going to get there.
He didn't
really
prepare
think that
because of
was part
Cody.
of it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
so because he kept saying like, if Cody takes me, yo, at least I'll have my speech, yo. And so he had an idea of what he wanted to say, but he never actually prepared because he was too in his head about like not getting there. And so when he gets there, you can see at the start of that speech, he gets up, he's got the energy, he's ready to go. And like, you can tell that he has things that he wanted to say, but he didn't put it all together. He didn't practice it. And so he kind of has a half-baked, nice speech, but then the other half is, not all the way there.
Let's be real though. Like this is all window dressing. Come on, Cody was winning 8-1 or 9-0.
Yeah. So the thing is, like for me, the other part of it wasn't even his fault. Like Cody was calm. Cody did not take any offense to any, like he's literally calling Cody his pit bull, right? He's like, I made him win the things. He was my weapon. And instead of Cody getting defensive over that, Cody calmly just let it happen, then responded with whatever he needed to say. And I feel like Enzo would have probably like fiended off of that kind of defensive energy. That never came. So it was just like, it is a lot of him saying stuff, and I thought his start was great. But then the more and more they got to the later part, I think he started freestyling a little bit more. It's like he had his
around
intro.
the room.
Yeah, like he had his starting paragraph for the essay, and he thought the deadline was next week, but it was tonight. And now he's got to like fill up the rest of the essay, and it's just too much for him.
So here's what I think. I think that Enzo gave the jury everything they needed if they were really bitter against Cody. Like, and Enzo's speech, like, I think that his answers would have been enough to win a jury vote on a season like season 20, on a season like season 19.
I agree, Taran.
And he gave them, like, he didn't make a ton of mistakes to, like, piss off the jury. He was endearing. He mentioned his kids, how much it would mean to him. He gave them enough of an excuse, like, hey, I used Cody. That's the normal BS excuse that people use when they're bitter, right? You come up with reasons for why the player didn't do as well, was actually secretly still doing pretty well, right? He gave them all of that, but the problem is that this is an all-star jury, and they really were trying to respect the game and give it to the better player.
Yeah, I absolutely could see a season where Enzo wins. I mean, it was very reminiscent of like Casey and Tyler or something, where it was like people were upset with Tyler, even though Tyler's like, hey, I did this, this, and this. But Casey comes in and is like, look, I'm really proud of myself from where I am. Like, I worked really hard to be here, that sort of thing. And people are like, yeah, we'll give it to Casey. But, I just think that like for me, like if I was a jury member, it wouldn't have been enough for me to convince me not to give it to Cody, especially if the person who's opposite him is throwing all of the credit to Cody. So I feel like that certainly didn't help him in his speech.
Yeah, I just think that the disparity between the resumes was so great. It was so hard to vote against Cody. Like you really had to go out of your way to find a reason to vote against Cody. I mean, that's just how strong of a game that he ended up playing. Does anybody have any thoughts about putting this in perspective in terms of this season in the history, in the annals of Big Brother, to put Cody at this hour?
I mean, I think this is the most dominant game we've seen. I think it's more dominant than Derek's win. Statistically, it is. But also in terms of like, hey, Derek and Cody did face a bit more adversity. There were some more bumps in the road for them that they had to overcome. They were playing as first-time players, and these, they were playing against all-stars in this season. So I would say this is the most dominant win we've seen. Does that mean Cody's a better winner than Derek? I think there's an interesting conversation to be had. But this is definitely going to be something that we're talking about for a long time.
You're avoiding is Cody a better winner than Dan Giesling. I think that's what we want to talk about.
I mean, I don't know if that's there's certainly a discussion I think to be had there. I think the first discussion is he better than Derek? And once you get over that hump, the rest of it,
next boss.
But he has tied some statistics for Dan that Dan has that has held for a while. Dan, the only unanimous winner in a regular season. Dan with a first and second place win on his record. Cody now with a first and second place win, a unanimous win. There's definitely a lot that he was able to accomplish with Dan. Similar to Dan, Cody has never received an eviction vote against him. So they share a lot of these records. Cody now has a couple over Dan even because he's technically at the final three. He never sat on the block in this season. That said, I think with Dan, you really have to look at like Dan did it in his first season, came back as a winner, did it again. That's something that you need to take into account, and many other things. But the Cody versus Derek conversation, I think, is particularly interesting because Cody went up against Derek in his first season.
Well, how could Cody be better than Derek? That didn't Cody learn at the foot of Derek? I mean, if
the student overtakes the master, Rob.
Yes, Rob. Did you not see Return of the Jedi? Come on.
Okay, so in a third season, this is actually an interesting conversation because now I feel like in a third season, if Cody and Derek were both in the house together, Yeah, I kind of feel like that Cody would be better positioned, just simply because that Derek is a lot older than Cody is, and I feel like that the other 20-somethings in the house are going to want to hang out with Cody, and they're probably not going to be hanging out with Derek. Like Derek was able to like blend in and hang out with the young people in BB16. I don't think that he's able to pull that same prank in BB27.
I mean, if the conspiracy theories are to be believed, then Derek's doing fine in the alumni community, right?
Well, I also think though that Cody has like competition. Like he's so good at every single type of competition, and I don't think that Derek has that. And so I think that how Cody won this one. He won the first competition. I don't think that Derek would have won that first competition, and it set his whole game up. And so I think that Cody right now is a better player than Derek, maybe. But I never really cared for Derek before.
I think
this backfire on Derek that Cody went and played and then knocked him out of his legacy.
Well,
Derek, you blew it.
I think it might be reasonable to say that Cody is better suited to a returning player all-star season, and Derek is probably better suited to a first-time new player season. And I think that's probably undeniable just by itself. And then you have to kind of consider what that means in terms of which one of them might be better than the other. But either way, I think they're going to be very closely linked. And when you look at the two most dominant games, winning games of Big Brother, you're looking at Cody and Derek, the two of them.
I just want to talk about Cody real quick because I think the one thing that cannot be overstated about him is how smart he is. Like, people always look at him and they think of this buff guy and they're like, oh, well, he's going to be good with the physical comps. You got to watch out for him in the physical comps. Honey, he has it all over everybody in all of the comps. He's
went
so
8 for 8
good
tonight.
at everything. Two things. Number one, the fact that he went 8 for 8 on that last competition versus Nicole. And Nicole is like a really smart girl when it comes to her Big Brother trivia when she's in the house. And number two, when he thought of jumping off of the beam in that part 2 competition to save himself some time while Enzo was like trying to like weave and bob through all of the piggies as they went along. Like, I was like, I don't even think I would have thought of that. I really don't. Like, he was just so brilliant strategically and mentally along the way that he is just like, I mean, goddamn, he's the full package. He really is.
Yeah. And I think that the one part of his game that really, for years now, he's a big dummy. He was literally Derek's weapon, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
He turned it around this time around. He had everybody at his fingertips. His biggest battle was versus Tyler over custody of Enzo, and he took Enzo and ran. And ultimately, let's not forget, there were people outside the game with bullhorns being like, hey, look at him. And he still got the gold at the end.
Running the game, guys. Jesus.
There you go. And I feel and if the big thing is, well, he's suited to be a more, play in a returning game and do better, whereas someone else is a first-time gamer, then this is even better to push into that argument, because if he's able to come back and have a better chance than most people, then again, Nick, I think that pushes him up the rankings at least a little bit.
Okay. I'd love to talk about the Nicole of it all, because it was an emotional night for Nicole. Melissa, do you think Nicole will get over Cody not taking her to the final 2 sometime soon, or do you think that this will be a festering wound that ends the friendship between Cody and Nicole?
I think she might publicly pretend to be over it, but I do think there will be lingering resentment.
Because it started in the interview with Julie. She was like, Cody's got guts. He's got guts. And then as the night went on, she looked pretty peeved during the jury questioning. And then she had, I thought, a very pointed question for Nicole in the jury questioning. Here's Nicole's question for Cody.
It'll obviously be to Cody, and I can't look at you right now. So, okay. How long, since I feel like the relationships that you built in this house was kind of just like for game and strategy, was it a hard decision for you to choose to sit next to Enzo? Did you ever contemplate taking me, and why did you take Enzo?
Yeah, Chantel, she looked very annoyed throughout the entire time she was out of the game.
I mean, I think that she really did believe that he was going to take her, and she didn't try harder, or she just didn't have any contingency plans on like what she would do to get to the end. I think that she just thought she had it in the bag. She didn't think that she had to try hard. They were even joking throughout the season about like, "You're going to cut me, aren't you?" This and that, and like it was kind of their inside joke. And so I find it a little bit humorous that joke was on her in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Taran, I also thought that she makes a point of saying there, well, obviously, since every relationship you had was just for strategy, obviously, it's like, I guess, I was part of that too. You were.
I mean, she's basically just like, were you playing me the whole time? Like that's what she wants to ask, but she's trying to like find a way to make it not seem so like you broke my heart. But that's what she's asking. Like, was it a game from the start? Because you've been promising me that you were willing to take me to the end since like week 4, since week 7. Like for a long time in this game, you were telling me that you'd be willing to lose to me, and I've been saying the same to you, and I meant it. Have I been played for a fool this whole time?
That's the thing that hurts her the most, because she meant it, right? She was willing to lose to Cody, but he was not willing to lose to her. I thought this was an amazing moment for me personally. And watching it happen in real time was just fantastic. The shocked look on her face was something else, and she had nothing. I think that was the thing that really rung true more than anything, was she had nothing all week long. She had been saying to him, well, if you're gonna cut me, it's okay. So then, because then I would feel better about cutting you if I was going to do that. Like she never really like got to the point where I felt like she said something to him that really meant something to him in a way that it would have like locked him into taking her to the end. She I even like her arguments about Enzo were sort of half baked to me. I think she thought she had it in the bag. I think that's what it was, and she didn't really need to do anything more. And she was shocked when ultimately she did not have it in the bag, but it was glorious to watch.
Which is so much of this finale was so fitting in so many ways. And for Nicole, it's really fitting because Nicole's superpower in the game is her paranoia, is that she is always got her head on a swivel. She's always worried. She's always thinking a worst case scenario. And the one time she let her guard down and she said, all right, I'm there. Time to practice my speech. I can finally be comfortable for 1 second. And that's the second that she gets cut. It's very fitting for her game.
It was fitting though, Melissa. Though I know you were on the round table talking about the possibility of Nicole winning, but I felt like for our purposes, Cody winning the final HOH, cutting Nicole, blindsiding her, taking Enzo to the end. Cody first, 9-0. Enzo second, gets $50,000, and Nicole crying on the chair like, honey, that's a finale to me. Didn't you feel good?
No, I do think that the way the finale played out was very, number one, exciting, which is something I didn't expect to say. And also, I do think that Cody is the right winner. I think that he played the best game. I would have been upset if he got to the end and like Enzo pulled out a win, just because I do think Cody deserved it. On the other hand, I thought it also would have been a fun ending to have Nicole win the final HOH and cut Cody, because that's something that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and it would have been fun. Now that I know that Nicole wasn't actually going to cut Cody, it is a little disappointing that like that wouldn't have even been a possibility. So I think that whether I would want to have Cody cut Nicole and then win versus Nicole not cut Cody and then Cody win, like I'd much prefer it to be this way. So not that I find joy in her pain, because you could see she was really hurt by that, but like
nobody would find joy in her pain, Melissa.
I do. It's just it's one of those things where it's like it's not about, to me, and I know a lot of people online are like very excited that look what Nicole got. I don't see it that way. Like I think that it is fun because it is a crazy move. It's very exciting. It's not expected, and to me that's something exciting. But that's why it's a good move to me, is that's fun, that's exciting, that's a great finale.
Yeah, Puya, just going back to the jury questioning or the jury segment sans Dr. Will tonight. And Ben, for Dr. Will, this was a BB22 was a real downgrade. It goes from hosting the jury roundtable to being in a bathrobe, being in either a Speedo or underwear. It was the real downgrade for Dr. Will. What's that?
And that was apparently his idea. In fact, he wanted to be full nude with pixelation, but they were like,
Yeah, they're phasing him out. So it's sad to see for Dr. Will. But when they were talking about Nicole, that it really did seem like that the jury, maybe minus Kevin, was very sour about Nicole. Even Ian, who had been kind of positive about her to this point, was saying that he really did not respect the way that she got rid of him from the game.
Where was that coming from? Like, because I did not understand that. What is his problem with how she got rid of him from the game? Like the fact that she didn't own it enough in the goodbye message. Like that's what he has a problem with.
He liked how Tyler did it.
Well, I mean, go ahead,
Darren. It's just to me, it was just not transparent, right? And like not even untransparent, but it just felt like she manufactured a thing to be like, hey, I tried my best. I mean, we all remember how that week went. We all remember how we felt about it. So it must have stung for him because he did inject trust into her the way she injected trust into Cody, like that kind of level. So for him, he had that stinging sensation that she got tonight weeks ago, and he's still dealing with it. And it's not easy when you put your trust into somebody and then they don't do anything like, oh, I would have moved mountains for you. It's like, you wouldn't have moved a pebble for me, and you showed that in that week. So I think that's where it came from.
And I think also with the fact that like he's been in the jury with all these people coming in and telling him truths about what was actually going on, and so he's getting all this new information from people that are being honest with him, and so it just makes her look even more like she's just been dishonest and not owning her game. All these people are coming there and showing them what really went down, and so I think that also helped with him not be the biggest fan of Nicole.
And I think it's also like he was willing to say like, brilliant move to have tricked me, but here's the thing. It was a move that she made on her back foot, that she failed to save him. Like he was like, her move wasn't to take me out. This didn't help her game. This was a big hit to her game. Me leaving was a failure of Nicole's, not a good thing. And if it was a good thing, then why isn't she saying I got you out because it was a good thing? Because it wasn't. She said I tried. I did try everything and I failed. And that comes off as disingenuous by itself because it doesn't seem like she tried everything because of how well thought out this plan to deflect blame was. It was a brilliant plan to not be blamed for her failure. It's just not very sexy.
I still feel like she never came to grips with the fact that she lost control of Danny to Cody like that week, and she didn't know how. She was like, "Oh, this is happening!" Like because she didn't want Ian to go home, and then like, and she, even though in the house she's saying like, "Well, I know you have to put Ian up. That's okay. We can get him out, whatever." But she didn't want him to go home, and then she did it, and it didn't help her game. And then at the end, she didn't. Or in the goodbye message, I mean, she didn't own it to him, so that's why he was having a problem voting for her. But it did seem to sort of come out of nowhere. On the other hand, Ian might just be better at hiding his disappointment because Nicole, God bless her, she wears it on her sleeve. I love the fact that Nicole wears her disappointment on her sleeve for all of us to see because that's good TV. I'm sorry, it is. It is good TV. I don't like it when people hold stuff in like Ian did, and I was glad that we got to see it from Nicole tonight because we get to see what they're feeling. That's all what good television is about.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see that, and you also want to see that they care about the game. Like I just feel like you could tell that all three of them tonight really wanted this, and I feel like that's what made me feel more for this finale. Whereas for the past few weeks, I've been kind of like, whatever, who cares? And when I even started the finale tonight, I was like, okay, let's just watch it. Let's get it over with. And then halfway through, I found myself being like, oh my God, I'm really into this and I'm caring about these people because they clearly want this and they clearly care about it. I mean, when they're crying, when they're cheering, when they're excited, it all meant something to me tonight. And I feel like that's what we like. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, these were three people who have spent 85 days stacking their Jenga tower the whole time, never getting it swept out from under them. Like so often, like people they thought they had lost earlier, and then everything after that is just bonus. But these people have been stacking their towers since day one with no problems, and then in one moment, it's like, now it's do or die. Is it all going to come crashing down, or is it going to work out? And that really brings the intensity to the emotion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Should we talk about some of the other jurors of note tonight? Chantal, who were some of the other jurors that stood out to you tonight?
Obviously, Devon. I think she was taking over Will's position with
she was
kind of
right there
directing
in the center. Yeah,
all those questions. Even how she came back at Christmas, I was just loving that she was really owning what she had to say and taking up her space in the room. I was really happy to watch her as being part of the jury. for sure.
Chantel, do you think that Devon could potentially host the jury roundtable in Big Brother 23?
I could see it happening, like especially with her being America's favorite player. I think that they see that people enjoy seeing her on our TV, and so I wouldn't be surprised if she's brought back.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Dr. Will hosted the Big Brother 19 jury, the Big Brother 20 jury. Devon hosts the Big Brother 22 jury, and we get a unanimous winner that deserves it. I'm just saying.
Just saying. Honestly, I loved the jury roundtable this time. I feel like a lot of the times I just think that they are purposely handpicking quotes that make you believe it could be anyone. But this time I actually feel like there was a discussion. I feel like there was an actual dialogue. I feel like people were thinking about it and possibly changing their minds. Maybe it was just the editing, but I thought that it was insightful. And normally I feel like I'm kind of like, okay, we just want to see Dr. Will like tear some people to shreds, you know, like we just want to see him insult
He doesn't even do that anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't really even do that anymore. So I don't know. I just feel like this one was really good because I do feel like, and you know, I also kind of feel like they were more willing to open up because they were so comfortable with each other and they probably had been talking about this, you know, pretty often.
Yeah.
When you be a moderator, it's kind of like, oh, okay, you ask a question, then you direct it to this person, and then this person gives a quick little answer, then you direct it. This one, I felt like people were just like interjecting and saying like, this is what I'm thinking, and this is, you know, like
Also,
it gives us insight.
I agree. And Dr. Will's a little hoity-toity. He's a little snobby. You know what I mean? I don't mean in a bad way. I love Dr. Will. But, like, when people are with him, he's like, oh, it's Dr. Will. It's an icon of the game, you know? And I don't feel like that they act like themselves. Whereas, like, if Devon came back next season and was like, hey, guys, what's up? Like, Devon's, like, Mara's favorite player. Like, she's someone you can talk to. And she's so inviting, and you love her. And, like, I feel like people would be a lot more at ease in front of her.
And honestly, that to me is very important. I don't need someone coming from the outside that people are trying to impress. I need people to feel open and honest. I need someone like David feel like he can ask.
What is jury management?
He felt comfortable asking that, which he shouldn't. Like, he did, and I like that he did. So I genuinely did like that there was that like camaraderie feeling. Like, we've all lived together for so long. To me, it fit. The shoe fit, and I was happy about it.
Puya, do you feel like that they made him ask what is jury management, or do you feel like he was actually asking it in his heart of hearts?
I don't even know anymore. Maybe. I don't know. It segued perfectly.
Ovi and I never got this far. Hold on. What is this?
Let me look at the index cards. No, I don't know.
I was really curious about something that Devon said, that when they were sitting out there and Julie said, who do you expect to see? Devon said, if they are smart, it'll be Nicole. That was very surprising to me, given everything we just saw on the roundtable, especially because at this point, you could still say Cody. Like, you could say, if they're smart, we would see Cody. But instead, she said, if they're smart, we would see Nicole. We're going to ask. But I'm very curious to know what she meant by that. Is it possible that Nicole had a chance here?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like, if they're smart, as in, if they're going to make me happy, they'll get rid of Nicole. That's how I took that. But I don't know if that's how she meant it.
Yeah, Melissa, Devon seemed a little bit more pointed in her criticism of Nicole tonight, where she talked about how that she really felt like that Nicole went out of her way to prey on her, Prey, in the relationship that they had outside of the game. And then Chris was like, no. That anything that happens in the game
information, personal game information. I was like, not again. We do not need to go over this one again.
There's no such thing as a personal game move, all right?
I was like, oh, please no, let's not get into this discussion.
Christmas, the Oracle of Big Brother. We don't need you to explain what happens in the Big Brother house.
Would you think that she's going to say the same thing to Nicole? Because Nicole is like really hurt by Cody for the fact that they're supposed to have a friendship, and this is just a game move. And so, are Nicole's feelings valid in Christmas's eyes? Is my
they're having that conversation right now.
Probably, actually.
Nicole, don't you understand? It was a game move, not a personal move.
Yeah,
it was a personal game move. Devon, back me up.
I know this wasn't on the jury question or the jury roundtable, but what was with Danny Briones trying to out-earring Devon? All season, Devon had the big earrings that I feel like that Danny showed up tonight. I've got bigger earrings than Devon. How about
I
that?
actually think that she borrowed Devon's earrings. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, aren't those Devon's? So I think that it was a let's share things in the mirror with girls getting ready. So that's what I think.
Okay, we want to see it get competitive of who has the biggest earring to show.
So, while we're talking about Danny, does anybody else feel like this co-sign whether or not Danny was still flirting with Cody even in her final two questioning? I'm serious, Chantal with me. Chantal. Yes.
She definitely still wanted him to like her. Like, she was just kind of like, even though you're mad at me, like, I'm mad at you. Like, I'm going to vote for you. Like, she's still, like, coy and flirting with him. And so, yes, she still wants him to like her.
Yeah.
Right.
Even when people, had some criticisms of Cody's game in the jury round, she was very quick to defend any sort of negative talk about Cody.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't love how she's directed her anger at Nicole instead of Cody, because I just feel like Cody betrayed her, and yet she's mad at Nicole because he picked Nicole over her. It's the same thing I've said before about like the boyfriend cheating on you and you blame the girl instead of the boyfriend. Like, it's just, I don't love it.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. Rob, I have a quick question for you. You tweeted out that...
Yes, what do you...
You wanted to know about Memphis's pants.
Yes, Memphis
I didn't
pants.
see these pants. What was going on with them?
Yeah, Memphis, that he was all the way to the right side of the screen, and I wish I had a screen grab of what was going on, but that I'm not sure if he had either capri pants or for some reason that Enzo talked last week about Cody had a bad look of like ankle socks and dress shoes, but I'm not sure what was going on with Memphis, where he just had his pants like rolled up to his ankles, like everybody else is acting like it's freezing out. Am I the only person that noticed this?
I mean,
God, can you find a picture of this?
Find a picture. The only person I noticed was Cody. I said he looked like he had leg warmers on. What was up with Tyler and Cody? Yeah,
Cody, all of his pants are sort of like tapered to the ankles. That
but they like Tyler and Cody both had like their knees cut out. So when they sat, it looked like they just had like, the bottoms of the leg warmers on. That's what it looked like.
What was the deal with
stuff going on?
What was the deal with Cody and Enzo not dressing up for the finale?
True.
Yeah, I thought the
he had a
sweater
cardigan.
was not
Danny
enough.
complimented it.
That's not enough.
Enzo did not.
Neither of them
Enzo was
did.
just in his regular outfit. He was like, I'm third
Put on
place,
a-
yo.
put on a
Yeah, it
button
doesn't
down
matter.
at the very
For third
least.
place.
Or like a sweater. I don't know. Just I always like to see how they look for the finale, because I feel like most people bring a finale outfit, and so they always doll themselves up, and I always love checking out the different outfits and whatever. And
Yes.
Okay.
they were not bringing it.
Genuinely, I think it matters. I think like if Enzo comes out
Presentation?
looking fly, in a purple suit or something.
That's how I knew Chris Underwood was going to get back into the game at the end of Extinction. He was wearing way too nice of a suit to be
The way you
somebody that
package
was the
yourself.
third boot of the season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Melissa, I want to ask you, so I tweeted out that I thought Nicole looked good tonight because I remember what she wore to the Big Brother 18 finale, which is that country dress with pockets in it, and God bless her on that one. But tonight, I thought she looked hot. She had the beat.
Hot.
She looked hot.
I thought she was ready to go because she had her power suit on.
Power suit.
Were you
Yes.
It didn't help
Sure.
her though. It didn't help her.
She
lot of
looked
people-
professional and she looked distinguished, and I do think that would have helped her in the end. It helps it helps give a new perspective on who you are. Like, I am here and I am ready to go. You know what I mean?
The chat is not with us on this.
Look, they should have. I think that dressing up as well makes it seem like you're really taking it seriously and that you really care about something. And if you just show up in your PJs or whatever, it just doesn't. It doesn't give off the appearance that you are putting effort into it or that you care. Not that it matters clearly, but still.
That I don't know if this is bad to say. I felt like it looked like that she was wearing like a costume of like a businesswoman for Halloween. That I felt like that it was that it just did not seem like it was the right look for her.
It just needs to be
gameplay.
tailored.
Yeah, power suits her gameplay.
Yeah, like her gameplay is like she puts on a costume of like a really cutthroat player, right? Like that's just
she was wearing like a Vanessa costume for a while.
Yeah.
We talked about this at the start of the season. Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah. Okay, and Halloween is around the corner. Also, I'm a business lady. Okay. All right. I don't think we've really stopped down on Devon for AFP. I know everybody got out the vote. Everybody was very excited. It came down to only 2. Taran, do we normally do only 2 finalists?
What was this, Taran?
We do 3.
So my theory on this is that because I assume Janelle was 3rd place and she was not there, that they just excluded it from the list because they only wanted the people who were there to be there, right? That's my guess.
I was bitter about that.
That's probably what it was, but that makes me mad because they should tell us. Like, it's exciting and fun to see who the top 3 are. Like, it's fine to see the top 2, but the top 3 would have been more exciting.
Right? We missed the face crack moment when Nicole finds out that Janelle is in the top 3 for America's favorite player. I mean, that would have been like the icing on the cake, Shin.
I wanted it so badly.
And yes.
All right, so Devon ends up getting the America's favorite player.
Oh my God, she was so happy.
Julie has a question for Devon.
Do you have plans for the money? You have plans for the money?
I just want to get home to my daughter.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of put her on the spot there of like, hey, I know we just surprised you. You weren't a finalist or anything, but do you have plans for how you're going to spend that money?
Yeah. It's like, hey, you didn't think you were going to be in the running for $25K, but now that you have it, what's your investment plan looking like? What are you going to do with this? So you trying to get a new house, a phone? Like, what are you doing?
I know you're acting shocked right now, but could you just turn around and just let us know that you've planned on spending this money because you knew you were getting America's favorite? Why didn't you ask Cody this question? Cody's got $500,000 new dollars.
Dumb. I don't understand.
You know what? Actually, she did ask that question to Cody.
Why doesn't the question you ask is, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Okay, any idiot knows that, but apparently Julie Chen Moonves does not.
Well, there was one moment that Julie had that I liked, and I think it was when she asked Danny or something like how she feels about Nicole coming out or whatever, like how she feels about Cody cutting Nicole, and Julie was just like, she looked at Danny for a minute, like come on, answer the question. It was a good moment.
And he was like, do you want me to spoil the results? Like, I think it was a good move, I guess. I think he's doing pretty well.
Scott has a picture. Okay, so here's a let's see if we can have Memphis's pants. What is going on there? What is it like? It's just basically like he's got like the Frankenstein outfit on,
I mean, and then Kevin right next to him has the exact same style.
Yeah, what's up with Kevin's shoes? Can we stop there for a second? What's going on?
Yeah, what is that? Like a open-toed sandal?
Yeah, this is a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody here is in some sort of like Halloween party dress-up mode. Nobody has they couldn't decide on what the look was going to be for that night. Okay,
look, we're just behind the times. These people are fashion forward.
No, we're not behind the times. They're in the past. That
when did this occur in the past, Rob?
They're in the past, Taran. That they're live. That they are stuck in July 2020 fashion.
I get it. Okay, so here's the problem. That was the fashion in July. Just we never saw it because we were all stuck at home. We just never saw anything below the chest, right?
Yes. Okay. We have not talked about the new. Speaking of all the different looks of the house guests, we have not talked about the new look for the house. This was really crazy, Melissa. That they did. They said, okay, we're gonna sort of like up is down, down is up. The backyard is gonna look exactly like the front yard.
Yeah.
Is that what they did?
No, they had them.
It was very
when
confusing.
they jumped out the door, I was like, wait, why are they not leaving the house? Like, are they just gonna like walk out the side? What's happening?
Yeah, they made the backyard set look like the when you come out of the front of the house.
Yeah, when Julie showed up on the stage, I was like, wait, what? Where are they? They've been in the backyard this whole time, and then the final two walks through like into
the backyard.
When Cody turned and started going into the kitchen, I was like, honey, yeah, your money's over there.
Yeah, you don't need to grab your bags yet. Just go outside.
I thought it was going in for like a souvenir from the backyard. So I'm like, I'm taking a piece of this house with me or
Pablo.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I thought it all looked great.
It did. I especially loved the tunnel. It was cool.
Yeah, the tunnel was
great.
Like,
I liked the
You see
tunnel.
them like walk out. That was cool.
Yeah, so they really did a good job. I mean, they went through the whole exercise with, all right, Nicole, put your mask on. Like, I feel like that really would have killed the mood at the end of the episode to get like, all right, everybody, come on, like, put just let them have their celebration in the backyard. And then that was, I thought they really had a very good idea on how to put that all together for the finale.
My favorite part about the tunnel too is that they never explained it. They just all of a sudden there's a tunnel there that they walked through. Zero
great.
explanation. And they didn't even explain like what that was. I'm willing to bet that most people watching this episode never even noticed that was the backyard. That they were just like, I guess there's 2 stages, or they just never even made the connection.
Yeah. We also had the segment with the first 5, the people, the pre-jurors. We got to see them the other night. Chantel, any takeaways from seeing the first 5 back together tonight?
I'm just like, am I wrong? Or did Nicole Anthony not?
She got snubbed.
Nothing.
She got nothing.
Okay, because I was like, I felt kind of bad because I'm like, did I just miss some things? Did I blink? Like, and so that was what I kind of took away from it. That I don't think that Julie really maybe cares for her opinion that much, so she didn't even bother like having a question for her. Like, they could have fit one in. They had 2 hours. They could have done something.
What happened was after the finale ended, Nicole's handler said, "Yeah, sorry, that was planned. That's what you get for making Janelle cry."
Yeah,
I heard that.
Pooya, am I reading too much into this? I get the sense the production did not really love Nicole Anthony this season.
I mean, we saw live. She went from podmaster to podcaster to just snubbed altogether. Like, you would think if your job is to talk, they're going to let you talk. But no, I definitely feel like something is off there. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it is the yeah, I don't know, because even in the last segment we saw her, she was the only person advocating against what anyone else was saying. So maybe just didn't fit into anywhere they wanted to put it.
She was the naysayer of the bunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Taran, we opened that segment with Kaser, and I felt like that he might have been going on a little bit too long, and I felt like that Julie was trying to cut in and try to tell him to wrap it up.
Look, it's King Kaser. He gets as much time as he wants.
Thank you.
I will say, though, like, I always hate the gap between the vote and the reveal because I'm just like, literally, this could be the best thing in the world and I wouldn't care about it because I just want to know what the vote is. And then they really tested my resolve on that because Kaser showed up and I was like, I still don't care. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow. Like, was Kaser trying to make a metaphor where he was like talking like in very vague terms about like trying to step up to the power and the status quo.
He was Rob. Let me help you.
Yeah.
He was calling them all idiots. That's what he was doing. Like, he was trying to say, look, I tried to help you people. Y'all didn't listen to me, and look what happened to you. Cody and Enzo sitting at the end. Like, that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah. We also had some discussion about the Slick Six at this point, and that I thought that there was I think we hit a nerve there. Because
more discussion about the Slick Six than the Roots, which actually made it to the end.
Well, it was great because Julie first was allowed gave her one more chance to explain the committee to everybody. By the way, there was an alliance. It was called the committee, and it was Memphis, Cody, Tyler, Danny, Christmas, and Nicole. That was the committee, just in case anybody didn't know about that yet. And then but we started talking about the Slick Six, and she had a question for Tyler. Was the point of the Slick Six to keep power away from Kaser and Janelle? And I thought that Tyler was sort of like spinning his wheels there.
Yeah, I was going to say they didn't answer the question. Like, that was actually a question I'd be interested in hearing, because I do kind of believe that is why it was created. And I was hoping they would say something interesting. And instead it was kind of like, when I first started, I was like, I don't really care about this. And then I started caring about it, and then it was over. It was like, well, but that gives us nothing.
I wish they would just own it. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, we created it to keep power away from Kaser and Janelle because we knew that Kaser and Janelle wanted people who were working with us out of the house. Like, Kaser and Janelle would have blown up what we were trying to do in the house. So, yes, we kept power away from them. What's so hard about that?
Yeah.
I feel like he was trying to walk a tightrope with like I don't want to upset Kaser and Janelle fans. I also don't want to upset Devon and Bailey fans by saying like it's not real, and like we were trying to go against Kaser and Janelle, and it's like all these fans around him. He's like, I'm just gonna like walk the line of saying I kind of cared about it and kind of didn't care about it.
While we're talking about Bailey and Devon, I did not love Julie Chen when she was like when Bailey was saying what she had to say about how she felt. And then she's like, me and Tyler have always had, differences and whatnot. And we could not get past it. And Julie was like, well, I hope you bury the hatchet. Well, you know what? That's not.
Yeah, I have that clip. And here's Julie.
Well, I hope you and Tyler buried the hatchet. And you and Danny.
Silence. So
exactly. So she should just like shut her mouth. Like, there's no you don't get to tell other people. Sorry, like how Bailey and Devon get to feel about Tyler. Like that's on them to decide.
The only thing though is like, what else does she say then to transition out of that? Just be like, well, you're upset. All right, next question. There's really no getting around that one.
She's done it before. Just throw a comment. Be like, by the way, you look beautiful tonight. So move on. It's.
By the way, has anyone told you look like that actress?
The beautiful actress.
It's her go-to.
Yeah, I thought that Danny also had a interesting. Julie asked her a question about the triple eviction.
How shocked were you?
Well, I think whoever came up with that, it was a terrible idea.
Yeah. All right. We're all on the same page with that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Taran, I didn't agree with this, though. I didn't agree with her assessment of the triple. I think the triple saved her a lot of heartache. Her eviction was over in the blink of an eye. Whereas, if she had to sit there for a week and realize that, oh my God, these people are betraying me. Oh my God, these people are evicting me. And it slowly set in on her. I don't think she would have been able to change her fate, and she would have had to live with it for a week. What say you?
Oh yeah, I mean, she the way she feels she went out of the game is that if not for that triple eviction, I would have. I play a slow game, and that was just too fast, and that's the reason.
I knew I was fine if it was a double.
Nicole is just so worthless as a player. That's the reason that it's always something else.
While we're talking about the triple eviction, I wanted to ask you quickly about the fact that Christmas and Tyler made mention of the fact that Enzo was not with them on the Nicole vote in the first part of the triple eviction. But I'm screaming at them why didn't you do something in the second part of the triple eviction? If Tyler won HOH, you knew that they weren't with you. Why did you put up Danny and Nicole?
Yeah, and also why? I just hate the questions. Why didn't they ask Enzo about the triple eviction?
Yeah, it was like that. Okay, can you tell us, Enzo? What did you do to get to this point? And then another person comes up okay, Cody, same question for you. It was they went back and forth. It was the same question asked 2 different times.
If you could,
yeah, but
if you
they
had to
have
use
the
3
cue card.
adjectives to describe yourself, what would those adjectives be, Enzo? All right, here's my question: if you had 3 adjectives to define yourself, what would those be, Cody?
That's exactly what it was. It's just I don't like the way that they do these questions, and some of the people
have they ever done that before?
Yeah.
I don't remember them blatantly repeating 2 questions.
This is the saddest part. These were better questions than we've seen in years.
Yeah.
They were actually game related.
Yeah. Yeah, and I when I tweeted out about Ian using the cue card to say same question, I got some responses that said these cue cards are randomly put under their chair. They're not specific to each person. So it's he didn't know. Nobody knew what cue card.
Why is this the way that they do it?
That's the thing is I don't think that that's a good way at all. You should be asking a question that's pointed and means something to you. It shouldn't just be some random question for a random person because otherwise it doesn't matter. I just feel like people are going to have different answers as well if you're asked it by a friend of yours versus someone who you betrayed. So I do think it matters, and I think that they should let the people pick their own question. We all know we have our issues with the way Big Brother does their finales, which is terribly, but I've kind of come to accept that at this point. But that's a simple change.
Yeah, Rob, I have a pitch here for the podcast. And before every podcast, we're gonna write down all of our opinions. We're gonna make sure we get them as generic as possible because it's gonna be hard to read them out if it's not yours, if it's not generic enough. And then we're gonna just kind of pass around. We're gonna mix it up,
Shuffle them.
opinions, and then on the podcast we'll just read out the opinion. We don't want it to be too personalized. All right.
Yeah.
Well, like to me, it's like first place $500,000, second place $50K, third place you get to ask whatever you want to one of them. That's your perk. Because
Right.
like, Nicole's the only one who had the freedom by the sounds of it, and even then, she we all knew what she was gonna do with it. So.
But I also feel like that's the best question, really. Like, I mean, it's obviously the other ones allow them to speak more to like their game overall. But like the questions you want to see are the questions asked by the person who is betrayed, or the person who's upset, or the person who feels a certain way about someone, because that's where you get the emotion. That's where you get like the personalized responses, and that's what we enjoy.
Right, and the sad part is, Taran, this wouldn't really take a lot of doing in order to do. Like, they really just need to ask the jury, like, okay, who has questions for Cody? Who has questions for Enzo? Who has questions for Nicole?
To this. Somebody came up with this idea, and they were like, "That's an amazing idea."
Right.
And like, how about Cody in one answer says, and so I actually evolved my game from last time because I made all these final twos and I did all this stuff. 2 questions later, Cody, how did you evolve your game from last time?
Yeah, totally. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Plus, I like the way they do it on. I've said this before, but I like the way they do it on Survivor, where they allow them to like speak to the person as well, and not just do like a quick answer, like quick question, quick answer. Like it's like they get to say their piece.
Well, I think
then
the way
also
they
ask the
used to do it on Survivor.
Yeah, the way they used to do it on Survivor. I like the way they do it on Survivor
I like
now
the
as
open
well.
forum.
I like
like
that
the
as
open forum
well.
too.
So like I'm not
I think
upset
that's a lot of
by it. I'm saying
problems
that if
also.
at the very least we have to do it this sort of way where each person gets a minute to talk or whatever, like at least let them say something personal and then ask a personal question that's directly related to their game or why they're going to vote for someone. Like if something's important to them, like why did you do this move, or like what do you think was your biggest mistake or whatever, like let them ask that, because that might change their vote. Otherwise,
Right.
jury
Here's the
questions are
thing.
gonna
I see the people in the chat that are like, but it's live, Melissa. It's live. But honey, like this show used to be an hour and a half long. Okay, they used to do the finale in an hour and a half. Tonight it was 2 hours. They could have put like more questions like what we're asking for with a little bit of back and forth, and just blocked off 20 minutes for the jury for more of a roundtable discussion with the jury. That's all they would have had to do, and it would have been fabulous. So I don't understand this. Like, well, it's live. They could still do it live. People do live television all the time. It would have been fun.
Yeah.
How they cut out like 75% of the show or the past 2 episodes. Like put some of that stuff in there rather than just like smush it all into the finale.
Well, there's also this thing that's called taping the
which
the
they've done
final
all
three-
season
part,
long.
part 3 of the final
Which
3
is fine
HOH.
by me.
Yeah.
And then taping the jury questions and then doing the rest of it live. It's
It
I
would
don't
be
know.
very
It's a weird
simple
concept.
that you would just have a producer talk to all of the house guests. Okay, oh, what question you want to ask? What question you want to? Okay, all right, we like that one. No good, no good. Go, go, good. Okay, here's your question for the finale. Like it would be exactly the same thing. You could have them read off a card. You know how much time it's going to take, but you would actually have better questions that were relevant.
Yeah.
But
I
I digress.
so much. We could literally talk for like hours about what is wrong with the Big Brother finale and what can be done to fix it, and we've done so, but like it's never going to be changed.
I mean, this is a segment on every finale podcast. If somebody wants to make a supercut of every time in a finale podcast, we can
there,
the material.
Listen, there's so many other things to fix. This is the like on our list of 99 problems. This is not even cracking that list. Okay.
I do have a question.
Mine.
Yeah, we cracked my list.
Melissa, we podcasted about Big Brother 19, and Big Brother 19 was a horrible season where people marched to the end, and we were begging the sheep to wake up and do something, but it had a fabulous finale and stuck the landing, and in my eyes, that elevated the season. This season as well, totally boring, march to the end, fabulous finale. Does the fact that the finale sort of stuck the landing elevate it at all in your eyes about how you were feeling about Big Brother All-Stars?
Well, to be fair, I did not like the Big Brother 19 finale, and I thought Paul should have won. But
okay, Chantel, how do you think?
Not using that as an example, I do think that that this certainly helps the season, where it's like, yes, we saw a very, very dominant game in Cody, which is not very fun to watch because it's pretty boring to watch from week to week. However, the fact that it was rewarded in the end, I do think is significant. The fact that we got some drama in the end is significant. I think if you're binge watching a show or you're taking it just based on finale alone, or based on winner, or like hearing the scenario, I think it definitely helps. I think for those of us who watch week to week and watch the live feeds and have to sit through it and suffer through that for the boring like season like this, I don't think that the finale really changes my opinion of the season, because I didn't have fun, watching the season, and I normally do have fun watching the season. So I yes, it helps, but does it really change that much for me in terms of like where I rank the season in regards to the others? Probably not.
I think part of how it helps is that it all meant something. Like we sat through it all, and it actually meant, like, we watched Cody run through this season, and he comes away and he wins. There's an actual story this season that it mattered, that everything we saw like mattered in the end. Everything that we sat through mattered in the end. Whereas in a season like 19, it's like, okay, you're watching Paul, Josh. Okay.
Yeah. Taran, it wasn't all a dream, like on Dallas, when like they had the whole dream season, and then like it was like all a dream. Oh my God, like I'm so hating myself right now.
I like that Taran is agreeing with that. He knows what he's talking about.
I know about Dallas.
We're not even alive.
We're not talking about Big Brother Canada.
Yeah, not the Big Brother player.
It's Dilly Dal.
It was all there on the first night that Cody had the chance, that he hopped along with no problems across the lily pads, got right to the end flawlessly. That was the metaphor for the whole season.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. The second I heard Cody was going to be on the season, I was like, he's going to do pretty well. I think he's going to win. But again, at least it meant something. And it's interesting. It's unique. It's setting some records. It reminds me of Big Brother Canada 7 with the Pretty Boys, where a lot of people were very down on that season. Well, it happened. A lot of people still are very down on that season. But a lot of people do look back at the Big Brother Canada 7, and they remember the emotional moment of cutting Adam, just like they will the emotional moment of cutting Nicole, I would imagine, and that it produced a very good winner, and what it did for the legacy and the history of Big Brother Canada.
The difference in that season was the fact that the winner of that season pulled himself out of the fire, literally, and created a magic trick, whereas Cody never faced any opponents along the way to his total dominance of the season. So that's why I felt like Big Brother 7, in my eyes, is far superior.
Okay. All right. On that note, I'm going to hop off and start to get ready for our exit interviews that are coming up in a little bit. I just want to remind everybody that they should always...
From outside the Big Brother house, I'm Julie Chen Moonves. Remember, always have faith.
Yes, have faith, everyone.
She kept it short tonight. I like it.
Yeah. Lots of fun. Thanks, everybody, for being a part of our coverage all season long, and I will catch you on the Exit Interview podcast. That I will turn things over to Puya to bring us home the rest of the way.
I appreciate you, Rob.
God, man, my guy.
You're my guy, man. You've been our guy all season, and it's lovely that we got to get a little bit of you before the interviews drag you away. So I'm happy.
Okay. All right. Have fun, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Rob.
Take care.
Yes, I will be
I'm so
exiting
glad.
soon. I don't need as much prep time as Rob. But,
well, while you're here, Taran, let's quickly talk. So Kaser's the one who brought up the importance of winning that first HOH. Where were you? Because I didn't watch your reaction on Twitch. I know you were watching live. How did you feel that Kaser, of all people, was the one to bring up that point after you've been singing this for ages now?
I'm pretty sure my reaction was, yeah, Kaser knows.
He gets it.
He gets it. We saw him say this in the season early on. He said, "This is what happens. The person wins first HOH. They're the person that everybody approaches. They make a big alliance. They control the flow of information, and they run the game. We need to stop that, Memphis." And Memphis was like, "Dude, I'm part of it."
Hey, Taran, I have a question. Wasn't it great to see Cody specifically talk about the things that you have specifically been talking about in his game? Because a lot of that, sometimes that flies over people's heads that they're doing that, or that's a big integral part of the game. I love the fact that when pressed by the jury in the final two questioning about things specifically that you did in the game that we wouldn't know about, he brought those up, and it almost sounded like I was listening to a recap. It really did, with you talking.
Yeah, and I also said that I was very impressed because it's pretty rare that a player in the final two is able to express the game that they played in the way that that was actually good. Because a lot of times you watch a player play the game and they make moves that are good, maybe they make some moves that are bad, and you're able to pinpoint like this was a good move, and they probably made it because they were thinking this was a good move. But most of the time, they're just kind of doing things, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But Cody recognized that what he was doing was good. He came in from day one. He had that interview with Julie where he talked about winning the first HOH is really good because what I can do is build bonds with people, do something easy, build credibility with the house, all of the things that we talk about. He's clearly somebody that has a lot of knowledge about the game. And when he was answering his final two questions and he mentioned that the Ian week was the week that he had a lot of influence over, and it was the week that he took over the game. That was like word for word what I talked about in his final 3 game recap, when I talked about how that was the week that everything went downhill from there for Cody, and he recognized that and he was able to express it. And Enzo was not able to express his game quite as well. He did recognize that, like, hey, I was the safest person all game, and that is his strongest selling point, but he wasn't really able to articulate it in the right way. You know, when he says like, oh, I won by losing, and like my game evolved by winning competitions, but but not that many. Like it just wasn't quite there, and you could tell that Cody's answers were really there, and I was very impressed by that. You know, even players like, I mean, certainly Dr. Will, even players like Dan have not really been able to express the moves in such a succinct and an accurate way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's up? I was going to ask Chantel. So we're talking about how much Cody's game, changed big. He was able to explain it. Was there anyone else on this cast as a whole where, like, now that we're finished, we put a bow on this season, who are you leaving being like, you know what, impressed? They kind of did a bit of a different thing this time around.
A different thing? I think I'm impressed. I'm going back to Devon again. I mean, I know that she didn't do what we wanted her to do. I know that we were rooting for her to do better and take the information that she was gathering this whole time and do better with it. But I think the fact that she was still herself and that we can still love and be rooting for her, and I would be willing to want to see her come and try and play again. I think that that's really important in characters that we want to see on our TV show. And we're not going to get sick of her. We're like, okay, we know her game style. We know that she's not going to do well. Like we don't feel like that about her. And so I think that she's done a little bit better. I think she's learned a little bit more, and I think that her game has evolved a little bit. I would have liked it to be evolved a little bit more, but I did appreciate her journey a bit. And I'm happy that it kind of gotten buttoned by America's favorite player.
Yeah, Chantel, if only she could have stopped testing people.
Yeah, don't test people. Don't look shady. Just like,
I agree, but I also was very impressed, I think, with Memphis, because I think he had a completely different game than what I thought he was going to have. And I really thought coming into it that he was going to have a really tough time. And I thought that people really weren't going to connect with him that well. And he was kind of going to be one of those early outs, but he lasted a long time. He had a different way of playing than we typically see. I really liked how he was very straightforward and was just like, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing. We don't need to discuss it further because this is what it is. Whereas a lot of people were saying, well, nobody's talking. I haven't heard anything. I have no idea what's going on, when really they knew. Instead, he was just like, look, this is me. This is how I'm playing. And this is, what it is. And I really appreciated that. And I just thought he played really well. Definitely surprised me.
Memphis is just a couple of endgame competitions away from winning this whole game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember back in August when the draft happened and you picked him second overall. And I was like, what is Melissa doing here? And then, looking at it, I mean, well worked out. I feel like he did have a lot of hills and valleys, but he definitely played certainly differently than what I thought he was going to do, for sure. Someone else who I thought played differently, but maybe in a negative way in the other round, ultimately ends up being Tyler for me. I would have never imagined Tyler to be the type of player to not be able to separate his emotions and his, psyche with stuff going on in the game. And this was the biggest wake-up call. I never would have expected Tyler to be this kind of player. So that was a big eye-opener for me this season.
Yeah, I mean, when they announced his name on the cast list, I was like, oh my God, he's winning this. He's got to get to the end. I mean, I thought, or else they're going to get him out super early because they know he's a big threat. And instead, they really weren't targeting him, and he was just playing pretty decently in the beginning, and I thought he'd go far, and then it kind of just all toppled down so fast. I was very surprised that that's the way his game turned out.
Yeah,
kinda like
I mean,
Cody
I'm going to
won
go with the Sorry, go ahead, Chantal.
I was saying that it's kind of like Cody won with Tyler's strategy of season 20.
Right. I thought it was interesting that they'd cut to Tyler when Cody was like, I made a bunch of final twos, final threes, and Tyler's probably sitting there thinking to himself, like, I did the opposite of that. I probably should have stuck with my original strategy.
Didn't they show him? I thought they showed Tyler when he asked that. I thought his look was like.
Yeah, they did show him. He's like, he's just sitting there like.
That was the thing that really crystallized it for me, because we talked about that all season long, how Tyler was taking his foot off the gas. He wasn't doing enough. Like, he had like bursts of speed here and there, sort of like the Flash. But then like he would become like immortal most of the time. And you're like, what are you doing? I know that you have superpowers. Why aren't you using them? And then you saw the result. So I really do think it was like a total metaphor for why Tyler lost.
Yeah.
And how Cody won. And David Bloomberg, you can totally use that.
You can use that one.
I actually did their Tyler, why Tyler's lost, which is actually kind of ironic too.
Right.
So one line that stuck to me when they're all, saying their one statement before they put their keys in the hole, aside from Nicole doing the weird hand movements to put the key in, which was very interesting, Ian says, one of you's not about to get 9-0'd. And then one of them totally got 9-0. Was that, or did I interpret that differently?
So he said something along the lines of, "You're not about to make that like 0.9, 9 mistake that you made last." What essentially is what he's saying is like you were. I think what he's saying is like you were 99% there last time, and you fumbled it at the very last second. This time you didn't fumble it. You cut Nicole.
I was
Great
wondering
job.
what he was referring to there.
Okay.
And I do think that it's an interesting story, too, as well, to have Cody get to the end and have the opportunity to make the same mistake that he made before. Whereas, like, a lot of people this season have been remaking the mistakes of their past. And I feel like I thought Cody was going to possibly make a mistake by taking Nicole. And instead, he was like, you know what? I learned from my mistakes. Let me take Enzo. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, Puya, I had to say, like, I was shocked that Nicole had such a hard time putting the key in the box. I thought she would be better with her hands. I mean, we all watched Big Brother 18.
I mean, hey. What I was thinking was, I was like, stop acting like you haven't had to put the vote in the box before. We saw you in the jury in 16. Like, you weren't a winner always. Like, this has been a thing.
She's like, I don't know how to hold this.
Well, to me, it's like, once they do the statement, like, why is the camera on them? Because we're not supposed to see the key, right? So let them just
why don't they just put like a cover on it or something?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to see them like have to struggle every time to like hide it from us.
Because you're supposed to like block the front and then slot the key, but it's like, if the camera's there, then if it's not there, I can just slot the key. No one's looking. Yeah.
Well, see, the last time she did it, she was making sure she chose the one that wasn't Cody, and this time she was like, this is Cody, right? Like, man, I can't believe I've given both of these guys money at this point.
Just cashing, giving them checks. Great. We haven't really spoken about the specific competition formats they used this time around. What did you guys think of the part 2 with the camera hogs and the flying pigs? And because I did think this was somewhat innovative given what we've seen before. I like that there was a element of you have to time these, because Cody gamed it. Cody figured out exactly how much time he needs to push these ones to the left, push it to the right. But overall, I thought this was a good, like, balanced competition of, physical, strategic, and if you're smart, you can game it.
Yeah, at first, I was like, oh, this is like a not physical part 2 of the HOH. And then I saw Cody booking it. And I was like, oh, this is a very physical part 2 of the HOH. I did like that there was more strategy to it and included, not only questions, but also just general strategy. And Cody was just really good at the generals. Like right away, knew the exact timing he needed, like everything just down. And that was very impressive. Here's the thing, though. I don't think anybody who is, not super physical. Like Nicole is never going to beat Cody in this competition. Cody is just, there's too much running around, pushing. It's just
balancing.
Having that level of athleticism is just going to give you such an upper hand. I like the competition overall. I would just like to see it maybe like scaled down, just less physical in general would be my preference. But
Yeah, I didn't catch that they had to manually push it initially. I thought it was going to automatically swivel so they'd have the equal exact same. But once it comes in and he has to put his muscle behind it and time it himself, and it does make it a little bit more slanted to his favor.
And once you start running out of steam, like now it gets progressively harder, exponentially harder, because now you're running slower. You can't push it as hard, and it just like compounds on top of you.
I would have liked to seen what Enzo's time would have been if he had not misread the question. I don't know how much time he wasted on that, and he kept going over and over. I mean, like, that would be my worst nightmare on Big Brother. Let me tell you, like, to misread something like that. And like he kept looking at the second part of the question, like okay, he kept repeating it over and over. I'm like, honey, look at the first part of the question. But he just kept overlooking that. And it was really frustrating to watch.
No, it's kind of like The Amazing Race, like always read the clue, the whole clue.
Right?
It's like you want to be like, read it, say it out loud, like, you make sure you have the right information to do this incorrectly. If you get it wrong twice and you know that it's right, you must be reading the clue wrong. It's a foolproof strategy that you should just read it a lot better.
Yeah.
I felt really bad. I couldn't even really watch it. I was like, oh, I already knew that you're going to lose like 30 minutes longer than him, 33 minutes longer than him. And I'm seeing it happen. And I was heartbroken for him, actually. I felt really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, it means a different thing on Drag Race, but reading is fundamental, and they should know that by now. Melissa, my big question is, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say Cody did win part 1. Do you think the heads up of Enzo versus Nicole, what do you think the result there would have been potentially?
That's a tough one. I mean, I probably would have said Enzo, but seeing his time, I mean, I don't know. That's really hard. I think, maybe Nicole. I honestly don't know.
I'd give it to Nicole.
Or maybe
I mean, 40 minutes is a long time.
Right. Like it gives her leeway. So even if she's not really good at it, at least it gives her time. So.
But I think that he was also really intimidated by Cody and knows that, oh my God, Cody's going to do this so much better than me. He might be less intimidated by Nicole, and he might have not as spooked himself and like kind of shot him out of the competition right from the beginning. So he might have done better if it was Nicole, because he's just less intimidated by her.
It's definitely possible. And then we had the final HOH was this weird radio themed, album themed, record store themed. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I really thought when it first started, I'm like, oh, there's going to be some fun sound bites here. There's going to be something interesting. It was fine. I thought it was okay. Taran, what did you think overall?
Well, they clearly put all their energy into the backyard looking like the, stage out front, and they maybe had like a little booth for the part 3 of the final 3 HOH.
Did anyone else catch the fact that it looked weird though, because it looked like Cody kept looking at the answers on the left-hand side. Like he kept like staring at, like
peeking at something.
The question. He kept looking at something. What is he looking at over there? That looked odd. I'm not saying he cheated. He didn't cheat. But I'm just saying
where
all
I
know is
good.
The records were.
This was like a very hard competition, in my opinion. At least, like, I could not get a single answer. I was just like, I don't know. I have no idea. So I have no idea how they did it.
I got a couple
and got it right.
But yeah, I don't study that. I don't study like who's number 5.
True. Like,
number 6.
I don't study it. So I guess probably if I was in the house, I would have. But I was sitting there
else
like,
to do. Yeah,
I don't know a single answer.
Melissa.
I was like, I don't know a single answer. Like, this is crazy.
If it was for $500,000, I think you would have figured out a couple of
Go
them.
clutch. Yeah, that's all you've had to study to probably.
A lot of them are, like, you could figure them out, but like getting them in the short amount of time that they had is the tricky part. But yeah, when you study, it's a lot easier.
I was so shocked that Nicole didn't win that. I feel like that I thought she had it in the bag because she's normally really good at that type of thing. So I was very surprised.
Ted in the chat room says Cody was looking at his reflection. That's what he was looking at.
Damn, I look good in this cardigan. Okay. Next question. Yeah, I did enjoy. The visuals were fun. Some of the pictures they used were pretty funny. I thought one of Kevin's really like tickled me.
Very 80s, very 70s actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like that Rookie Rock was David's, and then when the country one came out, who is this? Oh, of course it's Memphis. Like, how did I should have clocked that from the jump. But no, I mean, ultimately, I think that I like that they're questioning in-game information over like the before it used to be A or B, like what do you think the juror said, which, you know, could go either way. But in this side, like there's 3 answers, so there's, you know, it's 33% chance of getting it right. So if you really know your stuff, it's really going to work out well.
I'm going to disagree with you a little. I think I've come to the Taran Armstrong side of this, where I prefer the crapshooty part of it, because that's where you can really separate the gamers from the not so great gamers. Because this, and the other thing too, is that the crapshoot one that we had before, up until like 19, like that was more interesting from a television point of view. This is like molasses watching this shit. Like listen to it, because you're at home. The fun thing about a game show, it's like when you can play along, you know the answers. People don't know the answers to this stuff, like who was nominated twice before they were have-not twice, and that nonsense. Like,
and even if you want to think about them, there's not enough time to. Like, no. It's just like, okay.
This was very boring. Whereas I think the stuff that's more fun is like, you know, when you're trying to guess like what each person said, what shady thing they said on the jury. Like that was more fun to me. So I like
the first question, I was like, okay, let me try and figure this out. And then it was already, the answer was revealed. And so after that, I was like, well, forget this. I'm not even going to try for the rest of these. I'm just going to like watch and, just, you know.
I will say, if I was a player, I would like this version. But, you know, sitting at home, like, I like the other version.
Right.
Yeah. No, from the outside looking in, and that's the thing, is like when they did the when the theme was like podcasty, I like that, but that's because of my interest. Whereas this one, I was like, like, am I getting CDs?
Music? No thanks.
I mean, I like music, but then when the music title, like, no music title is gonna be like, was have not before Janelle left the house. Like that's not an album. That's not a record. It is what it is. But no, I totally feel you on that. Ultimately, I feel like what was my biggest thing here with the comps? I thought they went fine. Did anyone else feel like, based on the way Cody celebrated at the end / did not really celebrate with Nicole, is that when Nicole found out that she's not going to be going with him?
I think so.
I'm sure the second he wins, he's not reassuring her anymore.
Right.
At
like,
all.
He's like we're good, right? And he's not going to say yes anymore. And that's probably like, I don't
Panic.
like, yeah, I think a lot of people are like, oh, he probably told her. I don't know if he told her explicitly, but I think probably what happened is that she was like, we're cool. And he was like,
yep, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think he would have ever told her. Like, he's not gonna like try to like make her feel bad and worse for a longer period of time. I think she was looking for assurance, and none was forthcoming, and that was a telltale sign. And she's like, oh shit.
Well, Nicole was saying like during the competition that she was like, she knew that it might have gone the other way.
That's BS.
It's just like, oh, he was winning the competition, so
it's like, no, of course he's gonna win the competition. He's not gonna let you win it.
Yeah, and she was like, the fact that he wasn't throwing it. I'm like, he's not gonna throw. Like, the dominant player of the season is not gonna throw part 3, Nicole. Like, come on. Like, nobody in their right mind ever throws part 3 unless your name is June Song. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
She can do that.
All right. Well, I think it's time for me to bounce out here. I'm going to go and talk with some of these players, but it's been very fun talking with you guys.
Ask good questions.
Yeah, man.
Ask good questions, Taran.
It's been such an interesting season, I think, at the very least. I really did enjoy this finale. Cody, I think, is a very deserving winner. I'm excited for all of the conversations that we're going to have about what this means. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me all season long, and make sure you listen to these interviews, because hopefully they're going to be pretty fun.
Yay!
Hopefully we will.
See you guys.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye, Taran.
So are we all supposed to just bounce out one by one? Like we do it's like a goodbye. It's like
until there's one
music
left.
Style. Yeah, it's like, well, everyone, it's been a good time.
Yeah, and then you say nice things about them. You know, like obviously we're all friends of Taran. The man does things that I don't think any of us would. He was there every day, no matter whether it was a good day, bad day. There were days where there were no feeds, and he was still there for 25, 30 minutes.
I tell this story. I do tell this story for people that will listen to it. That when Rob decided to start doing morning updates, for people who had joined and like weren't there in the beginning, it was not a Taran Armstrong thing. Like It was basically like we're gonna do this thing, and we'd like you all to pitch in and help. And at the time, there were 3 or 4 of us. I can't remember. And I was like, Rob, I'm not a morning person, but I'll try to help.
I was
like, I got a job.
Like, I cannot, but I like love the sentiment,
Right?
love the idea, but that would not be me.
And Taran like just was like, I got this. Like this is my bread and butter. I like doing this sort of thing. And he's like, like I don't think like in the last 2 years or so, like he has ever missed a morning show update. Like no matter where he is, if he's like traveling or doing something or in a hotel room, he's always there. And like it's very comforting.
Yeah, I could not do it. It's great. I mean, and plus, like, I use it as well. Like, if I miss a day or whatever, like, if I'm sitting there on a trip or something, I wake up in the morning and I'll turn it on. And even if I'm going to watch feeds for the rest of the day or just part of the day or whatever.
You can't watch everything.
I still watch what Taran has to say
100%.
because I am interested in, like, seeing what I missed or maybe, like, hearing his version of how things happened and, like, why it differs from what I thought it was or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he started this week and ended this week with Big Brother content that amassed over 7 hours talking about 3 people's games. Just 3 people's games. 7 hours. 7 plus. I could never. So I appreciate him and everything he does, and I'm glad we got to talk to him here before he goes to do the interviews, which will be out at some point tomorrow. So keep your eyes.
Sometime tomorrow morning. That's what Sam Moore is telling us in the chat.
Yeah, you will get all of those there. So I do think we've covered a lot of stuff from the finale here. Is there anything anyone else like stood out to anybody? Chantal, did you see anything that we haven't talked about yet that you kind of want to bring up?
Well, when we were talking about Cody's game, I think that the reason why he was able to articulate it so well is that he didn't have that much trouble in the game. He won competitions and got out his enemies. Like, he didn't have to like figure out a way to do this and sneak by and, show things that he did behind the scenes. He really just had a very easy game in the sense that he had no real opponents, but like impressive with the fact that he was able to get there like pretty unscathed. And so I think that that's why he was able to articulate it, because it was very straightforward.
Yeah, I do think that because like, here's the thing. When Enzo was talking, Enzo made it, this was the easiest thing ever, which is so insulting to the jury. Like, you guys were nothing to me. Whereas Cody, even though he didn't have anything, pulled something out of his butt. He was like, yeah, so Kaser. I'm like, my guy, you're talking about Kaser? That was months ago. Kaser was after me, and that was his big adversity. It wasn't big. It wasn't a big thing, but he like had something that he could point to, and it didn't help. It helped his case plenty that the guy next to him was like, oh, this was such a walk in the park that I am not fazed by anything that you guys did at all.
Well,
by the way, Scott, go ahead. I
was saying, also in hearing that Janelle put Cody and Enzo's name down on a piece of paper before it's like who she would have gone after, I think that is pretty, it's pretty indicative that he did a good thing in the beginning by kind of having them be the targets, but he really didn't have to do that much, in my opinion, when I see like fancy, good strategy, like great games that I love watching. He didn't really have that for me, but he played a very good game.
I want to know why Janelle put that down, because
we never got the why.
I think she had possibly some information as to why. I mean, if it is just like, oh, they're big threats, like fine, but like I'd like to know if there was some other reasons why she was threatened by them before.
I could understand
the game.
I could understand Cody, but I didn't understand Enzo being the one that would be beside. I didn't think that he would be on her radar.
I don't think so.
You don't think it was Enzo? You think it was somebody else?
I don't think so. I mean,
she tweeted that out like a while back, saying that she asked her handler for like a piece of paper and like wrote down their 2 names. So, like, these are the 2 people I'm targeting.
I guess.
Well, whoever her handler is needs to show the proof.
Yeah, I mean, I believe she wanted Cody out, but Enzo, I mean, like, why do you want Enzo out? Like, that's so odd. Like,
that's why I'm not into conspiracy theories, but the pregame stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, would Enzo have been involved in the pregame stuff though?
It's certainly.
Pregame though.
Yeah, now we're gonna get to the bottom of everything. Right now that it's all said and done, maybe there's gonna be some more stuff circulating and resurfacing. So I'm excited to find all that out. Just a quick clarification for people who are going to be jonesing for these exit interviews. The audio version is going to go out tonight. There's been a promise made that before Scott St. Pierre's head hits pillow, that's out ready for you to consume.
Yes.
The video will be out sometime tomorrow, so you can keep out for the YouTube channel, and you will find it there when it gets uploaded there.
Also, something that Sam Moore brought up, which I was thinking about during the episode, is that Cody broke the OTEV curse. I mean,
did.
the person who wins OTEV never wins the season.
Curses
and
are made to be broken. That's what they said
yeah.
on Once Upon a Time.
Look at that. So yeah,
What's the
first time.
next curse that needs to be? Is there another curse left that hasn't been broke? Because
It's OTEV and walking in first, but so walking in first is still controversial because
it was a celebrity
Tamar
season.
was in Celebrity and she did that. So like we don't know if that.
But it's the same building. Does that count?
The regular seasons, or if
Yeah.
it's just Celebrity that you're good. So I don't know.
I have
Okay.
a question that I want answered. So where would we rank Cody as a winner, Chantel? You've just seen like a really super dominant game, never really faced any significant opposition. As you said, he got out the people who were coming after him and he made his way to the end of the game. It wasn't that special, but he did it and won going away 9-0. Like, would you have him top 6, top 5, top 4?
I'd say he's definitely top 6. I don't know if he's top 4 because I didn't enjoy it. Like, part of me liking winners is enjoying watching their games,
Me too.
wanting to
Yeah.
play with them, and feeling as though that I would be sitting alongside with them and conspiring and figuring out how the game plan. So I don't really feel that much with him, but I do feel he played a very strong game and was working pretty well with the people that were part of his team. So I'd say top 6. I'm still for me, I love Dr. Will. Like, I still love Dr. Will's game. And I would have, even whether if he cut me or not, I just would have loved to play with him. And so he's always going to be the top for me. And then, the regular players between 1st and 6th. But I think that around 6, I think is where I'd place him.
Yeah, I would certainly put him in the top quarter of players. I think it is different for me because it is an all-star season. So these are people that have pre-existing relationships and things like that. So it does rank for me differently than somebody who plays their first time and wins. But I do think he played really well, and I think he played a really dominant game. And so therefore, I do think that he deserves a spot in the top quarter.
Yeah, I think, but for me, it ends up being probably top 5, maybe 5 to 7 range, depending. I'd have to think about it more.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people are going to be talking about the conspiracy of stuff happened before the game started. It's an 85-day game. To get to day 85 is still no easy feat, no matter how you slice the cake. Everyone has the equal opportunity to do the stuff. And again, there were people that warned them outside the house as well. So all of that considered, even I will say probably the biggest thing is there wasn't enough having to face adversity in that, someone else outside of my people won a competition. Let me fight back. Let me try and survive that. But with everything else considered, I still think that it was a masterstroke of a game. It worked out. I think he's someone that before this debate even we would have said outside of his move to take Derek to the end, he's someone that is one of the most the better final 2 people ever, one of the best runners up ever. So for him to win, I do think he ends up, for me at least, in the top 5 to top 7. Maybe if more time passes and I feel like I've moved over the fatigue from the season, it goes up one more. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens too, because I think I'd have Dan, Will, Derek, and Andy in my top 4, and then it's is Cody better than any of those people? I'd have to think about it. There's some distance helps, because I remember when Andy won, I was like, ugh. But then, as time passes, a year goes by, you're like, wow, that game was amazing.
Right.
That was brilliant. How
I feel totally differently about Andy's game, especially now
Derek
that we
too,
know more information. It definitely it helps when you hear the exit interviews and you hear later on people talking about the season. I do think that it changes your perspective, whether good or bad, we don't know. So we'll see. But I do think that top quarter for sure.
I also really wonder if, because at the beginning, the first podcast we did about this season, and the first episode, we talked about how it was kind of unbalanced how those first competitions went. We only had 2 out of 4 women playing in the first HOH, the first part. And then they didn't reset those stars from when Memphis fell all over them. And then Cody just had the perfect path to just zip through. So I'm just wondering if anybody else had won the first HOH, would we have seen a completely different season, or did Cody have what it takes to still get there regardless of whether or not he won that HOH?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And I think part of it, at least for me, hinges on, and this isn't even about pre-gaming. This isn't even about I think people, Derek coordinated this whole thing or whatever. It's just about relationships that people had outside of the house prior to coming into the game. Whereas someone like Keisha or something maybe didn't have those relationships. But someone like Cody, who's more involved and like knows more people, who comes onto the season with people who he's already played with or who his brother has relationships with, I do think that makes a difference. So I think that like we can't just disregard that. I think that when we're looking at Cody's game, I think that we have to look at that as part of the whole package.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. But like that, he just played a monster game this time, and like if he doesn't win the first HOH, I still think he goes a long way. Like he's just somebody people like. They like being around him. He doesn't get into fights with people. He likes to get along with people. He rarely raises his voice, if at all. I mean, it's true. The one thing I did say on the roundtable is when things don't go his way, he gets a little petulant. But unfortunately, everything went his way this time. So I would have liked to have seen what that would have looked like, but we never got to see it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Calafiore family goes, he is definitely the more level-headed of the two, even though that Calafiore fire is still within him. We didn't really see that all that much outside of maybe everything with Kevin that went down right before he nominated Kevin when they had their little spat. But, I mean, ultimately, he's someone that can smooth things over and look through them. The other thing I wanted to quickly ask is, Enzo, as a runner-up, is he one of the better runner-ups that we've had? Across the board. I know that doesn't mean as much. The ranking's not even really a thing that we do. But to me, personally, I think that, he's a good, suitable runner-up. Like, better than quite a few off the top of my head. Better than Holly. Better than, who was the person in 7? Liz. Better than Liz, right? Better than Gina Marie.
I think that he's a good runner-up because I wouldn't have minded if he won. I mean, it would have been bad for the season, but I did want Enzo to win the game, and I was really happy that Cody took him to the end because I really wanted him to at least get a little bit of money. I didn't want Nicole, even though she did play a better game than Enzo, in my opinion, that, like, I didn't want her to be rewarded a second time, get more money when Enzo, he's done a really good job to get to the end. Obviously, it wasn't a winning game, but I thought that he deserved to sit there. And so, like I said, like, I like people to win or like people to get money. And so with that being, what I judge people on, I thought that he's a very worthy final two person.
Yeah, that was really awesome. I have to say that was the part of the show. There were parts that were interesting to watch from an entertainment point of view. But the part that really touched my heart more than anything was when Cody took Enzo to the end and Nicole was finally out of the house. Like, she literally closed the door and Enzo was just like, oh my God, like I thought you were going to get rid of me and you took me. Thank you so much. I am indebted to you for the rest of my life. Like, it's nice to see nice people get nice things and good people get good things. And it was nice to see Enzo get at least $50,000 there. So I think he's a worthy runner-up. Is he one of the better runners-up? I don't know about that. I'd have to think about that. I'd have to take a look at him. But he's worthy for this season. The fact that it went Cody, Enzo, Nicole, totally fine with. That's just peachy with me.
I think that it was a nice end to Enzo's story as well, to have him get second after you saw how devastated he was, and he was for sure thinking, I'm getting third again. It's history repeating itself. This is it for me.
It would have been so cruel. And I honestly, I do think that Cody's a good person. Like, I think he's a good guy. And I think there's I don't know if he'd admit it, but there's a part of him that just didn't want to do that to Enzo again. I think his heart hurt when Enzo was
he also said that to Nicole, which he shouldn't have. Like, you should have told Nicole, I cut you because there's no way I could beat you or whatever. Like, you would have won. Instead, he's like, I just didn't want to give you the money again. You already had it.
You're a winner.
It's like,
I know, right? Yeah,
Not a good answer for Jury.
I thought he wasn't going to get Nicole's vote because he said that, but she still voted for him. So.
Yeah, and a 9-0 victory takes it over. Only one other time have we had a unanimous in the U.S. edition, and Memphis was present for both of those moments. So Memphis holds a space in history himself.
I never thought about that.
Thought about Memphis.
Yeah, never as the winner, but as the voter and the runner.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, I think we're ready to answer some of the questions of the lovely audience, I think, at this point. Yeah. Let's see. First question here from Mike. Most people rank Will and Dan in some order as top 2, and Derek always as a further third. After his second win tonight... Okay. Does Derek finally have a shot at being ranked number 1? So, Brent, I'll shoot this over to you. Do you think that this is going to be a thing that lives forever, where everyone's going to, or a lot of people are going to keep counting this as a Derek win, no matter what happens?
Listen, I do not count this as a Derek win. I don't even know if I believe in any of those stupid conspiracy theories. You can believe what you want. You can think that Derek had a plan for Cody and drew it up and gave it to him. The point is this. Everybody else had access to the same thing. Everybody else had access to the same amount of time to pregame. I know some people came in later in the cast, but everybody else could have sought outside help from anyone they wanted to. And Cody chose to take advantage of what he had in front of him. And Derek is one of the better players, one of the best players to ever play the game. And I just don't begrudge him from that. And he still had to play this game. And the thing is, here's the thing, folks. If a few breaks don't go Cody's way, he doesn't win the game. He would have had to really fight hard and really pull himself out of the fire. But he never had to deal with that. That was just luck. A lot of it was luck. Again, Janelle got 11 points. Tyler got 12 points. If the thing moves 2 more inches, oh my God, I'm hitting my mic. If the bottle moves 2 more inches, maybe Janelle can tie him because she beat his time. Come on. We're so close to something amazing happening. We just never got it. And that's really what the season came down to. It really is.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next question here. Do you think there's any chance that Nicole threw the last HOH comp? I think that she didn't want to choose between Cody and Enzo and get blood on her hands. She really believed Cody was bringing her and wanted him to do the work. Melissa, what say you to Jessica's question here?
I don't think she threw it. I don't think she would do that. I mean, I think that she would want the win and want to be able to point to that and say, look at me, I took Cody, or I did this, I brought myself, I wasn't dragged here. I think she would want that on her resume. So no, I don't think she threw this one.
And I also don't think that she has that close enough a relationship with Enzo for her to be that conflicted. I think that, she would be very happy to be the winner of that competition, because that's her game plan. She lays low in the beginning and she wins the comps at the end to prove that she's a valid winner. And so I don't think that she would have given that opportunity up because Cody was going to take her. No.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chantel, because outwardly, Nicole would be like, Enzo, I'm so sorry, I have to evict you. But mentally, Nicole is like, Enzo, get out. That's what she wanted to be that. She wanted to be the person to say that. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she would have absolutely played it up at that point, but it was a very easy no. She needs that win. She wants that win. That's something she hasn't had on her resume before. She was taken to the final 2 and 18. I feel like this would be her improvement upon last time, would have been her making the ultimate decision. So, all right, next question here from LJ, who asks, is the Hitmen the greatest BB Alliance? Both halves are winners, and Cody didn't need Derek in the house to help him win.
Sure.
Yeah, team. So team, here's the thing. At this point, there's 2 alliances in the world of Big Brother where both halves have a win. One alliance that now I think is debunked and retired. One alliance being the Hitmen. Do we think they become the best alliance now? As far as the pairs go?
I was being sarcastic. No, nobody surpasses Chilltown.
Well, also, they didn't play together. It's different if Derek was on the season and they played together and they got to the end and then Cody won. Then maybe you could argue that. But Chilltown played together both times. And I think being in an alliance that tight-knit and that well-known puts a huge target on your back. So the fact that they were able to come back in and still win, I think that is very significant. I think Cody playing by himself without Derek, that takes a huge target off his back because everyone would have been like, oh my God, it's Derek. So no, I don't think that it changes anything.
Yeah,
I think
also
Chilltown
it's Chantel, it's more like what we like. Chilltown is way more fun to watch.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm just and they're so flashy and they're kind of obnoxious and they're in your face about it. And,
they take risks. They take risks.
And they're not afraid to call out their target and they get they do stuff. And I know that it's different strategies, but I enjoy watching the Chilltown game more so than the Hitman game. I just do. It's just more enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when you play every day in the house could be your last and you do not care, but you do it in such a smooth manner, and you're both there and everyone knows what's going on, it's really hard to have that debate and not be like, well, when they're together and one of them wins, no. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. I think if anything, if I'm ranking them as a duo on, the Chilltown Hitmen and the Renegades, I would put Renegades third just based on the Memphis. Now Cody proving that he is better in that duo than Memphis. So then Renegades would be third for me. But yeah, I think that's good there. All right, next question here from the robot himself, Mr. Robot Taran. Will Cody be uninvited to Nicole's wedding? Stop it.
Hey, I got news Wait, no. I got news about this.
Okay.
From Heather Rogers, who said the Polly Calafiore just went live about an hour and a half ago with Daniel Reyes and Jason Guy on their podcast, The Secret Alliance, confirmed that Cody wasn't even invited to Nicole's
Oh.
Yes. He didn't. Nicole
Well,
didn't
now
even
he's
like
certainly
him.
not getting invited.
Well, no, he's definitely going to be invited because now he can afford to go. He has that
Right now,
$3,000
a good gift, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Now, if I'm Nicole, I'm doing it for the flashy present. He's like, you cut me out the house, third place to get that. Give me something. Exactly.
He's groomsman with a good gift for sure.
All right. So Crystal. Next question from Crystal. If there was a third game where Cody and Derek play the game again, would it actually become a game of rivals rather than allies? Melissa, I love this question because it begs the this is where it gets interesting. Is this an alliance that's going to want that clout for themselves? Or are they just going to be happy that they're, we're brothers, let's play together once more? Or are they going to go for blood and try and take the glory?
I think they'd play together once more until they get to the end and then, see what happens at that point. Then maybe they turn on each other. But I do think for the majority of the time, they're going to be playing together for sure.
And I think
they're family friends.
That Derek would cut Cody before Cody would cut Derek. I think that's how it would probably play out.
Yep.
Well, now that Cody's gotten a bag, he's gotten a victory. I feel like there is no reason for him not to want to be with his bro once more, reunited in the house. Like, look at our beloved pair of Janelle and Kaser. They will always want to ride together regardless, and they, it overrides the game completely. If you get to go on this journey one more time with your best bud from the house, you're gonna do that, and you want to experience it together. It's definitely a lot more sweet of a journey than if you would be doing it alone, and I think that's just simple as that for me. Yeah. All right. Let's go. One more question. A TV fan says, who won the BB22 scare war? Answer, the confetti when Cody walked out.
He was so shocked by it. I was like, does he not realize that that's what happens when you win?
He walked out last time.
See, I think it was because his senses were screwed with because he thought he was going to the backyard. And he didn't know what the backyard looked like. He knew if he had walked out the front door that the guns were there, but he was walking out the back door to the backyard,
so
and all of a
funny.
sudden it's boom, like that.
Yeah, well, it's like, he's walked that path a billion times. It's never led to the front of the house. So when he's going that way, I don't think he's expecting an exact replica of where he's walked out before. We didn't really touch on this, but can we talk about the families that were yelling over Zoom at their prospective players? And then the Calafiore family has not just Paulie, but also Cara Marie is there, and Paulie's losing his mind. Brent, what did you make of all this?
It was really sweet. I'm sorry. I like the family aspect of the Cody Calafiore family. I think they're really tight. They're really sweet. I love seeing a loving family like that, taking an interest in their son. Not all families take an interest in their son. I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about sons and daughters in general. But sometimes your family doesn't give a shit what you're doing, and these people obviously do. They lived and died with him along the way, and it was really, really great to watch. And I like seeing that emotion on the screen.
I wanted someone to be like, look at the family, point to Cody, so that Cody
did he?
turned
I know,
up
right?
there.
We didn't get that.
No, I thought Kevin was gonna do it because Kevin started gesturing, and I was like,
They
he's
were
gonna
all
show him
looking.
the family, but no.
Yeah.
Because it would have been so
I
nice for him to react and see his family up there.
Right. I thought maybe at the beginning he saw them, but then he looked away, as maybe the camera cut away and we didn't see that he saw them, and then he was hugging everybody, and then we were looking at him the whole time and we never got to see it. So I don't know what happened.
I was also waiting for Cody to go up to Nicole. I was waiting to see that sort of interaction, the first interaction since the cut, but didn't really get that.
No, I think we missed out on some of that stuff. Because this was no audience; it was just them and their fellow, the jury. So I do think, again, I don't know if they just. I'm assuming they cut that scene out because had he seen his family up there, he would have lost his mind, and that would have just been a great sight to see. I did predict. I thought because it looked like the first two families were one frame, one box, just the family, like 5-6 people. My assumption was that we're going to get Victor alone with the 2 dogs. But then we did get Victor alone, but the other side of the family was on the, they got a dual screen going for Victor's, for Nicole's family. So that is a thing I noticed. All right.
Yeah.
Eric has a question for us. And Eric's question is, let us go into the BB multiverse. Nicole wins and takes Cody. Who votes for Nicole to win? I don't think it would be 9-0. So Eric is saying that.
Wait, you forgot the hashtag, are they laughing at me? Because, like, Eric, I'm laughing at you when you ask this question. This is a dumb question. Like, of course, Cody wins 9-0. If Nicole is dumb enough to take Cody to the end, she rightly loses 9-0. I'm sorry, I don't see it any other way.
I don't think so.
Here we go with Melissa's.
No, I think it's a much closer race. I think it really is. I think that
David's going to vote for her.
How close?
I think he would. I mean, David was the one who kept saying,
close?
David kept pushing the fact that she was a winner and no one did anything about it. He said that in 2 episodes now. So I do think that other people would have voted for her as well. I think the Devon comment is very telling when she was like, if they're smart, they'll kick out Nicole. I think maybe there was conversation where people were saying, you know, I might vote for her. She's a 2-time, she's a winner and she's in the final.
Well, I hope that Taran, our illustrious interviewer, or Rob, asks that question of America's favorite player when he has a chance to interview her, because Devon won America's favorite player, and she can answer for what she meant by that. Like, if they're smart, they'll kick out Nicole. What did that mean? I would love to see into her mind on that one, Chantal.
I actually really just think that she didn't want to see Nicole sitting in the final 2, because like I think that she just didn't want them to be having to make that decision. Like, I think like if they're smart, just take that out of the equation that we might be contemplating giving Nicole the money. Get her out of there. She's already a winner, and maybe that's why she said to them they're smart. Get her out of there.
Yeah, that whole debate, that would have not been, I'm happy with the way everything went, honestly. Because I think that just opening that door would have been a whole other situation. I also do not, I'm in the camp of, I think it would have still been a Cody win, but it might have just been a more uncomfortable questioning for my taste. I feel like it would have been a lot harder to watch, perhaps. But we'll move on to the next question here. And let me see, is it Michael? Is it Michael's question?
Make it big. Yeah, there you go.
It is. There we go. Did Cody give the final 2 speech that Tyler should have given in BB20? Ooh. I felt like the minute that one line where he's like, well, and I should have said this earlier, but Enzo did sit on the block, and that's when I decided to take him just now to the final 2. I thought that was the best way to start it off, Brent.
Yeah, I really like that a lot. Although I don't particularly count that, but if some of the jurors are buying that, that's totally fine with me. And it's not just the fact, whether it counts or it doesn't, in the eyes of people like us who keep track of stuff like that. It's how does the jury feel about the fact that he had the power and he decided to take him to the end.
Right.
Well, that's what counts.
Melissa, they brought it up in the jury question segment where they were talking amongst themselves, which I thought was very interesting. The fact that they brought up that we've talked about it being a cosmetic nomination at Final Four anyways. They brought up that had Enzo just putting Cody there to even signal that he was thinking about getting him out, I feel like they would have interpreted that to the moon of like he wanted to take his shot. It didn't work because Cody won the veto, but he would have not only would he have technically been then the only person not to touch the block, then it would have looked like there was intent there to try and get Cody out, which would have gained him at least some more respect than anybody else in the game who just kind of let Cody not have to deal with that.
Yeah, would you think that he would still have taken him in the end if he had put him up on the block at that point?
See, that's the question. I think so, because then you compare the two again, right? And it's like the whole thing with Cody that I did like what he said to Nicole when Nicole asked that question was, hey, so my worry was that you've done quite a few stuff that you haven't mentioned yet, and if you get a chance to explain, I might be in a bad spot. I don't think he 100% buys that, but I do think that based on what Nicole's been saying of like, I've been playing up this persona, I've been pretending to be like insecure, pretending to be weak, I think she would have taken that kind of stuff, and she's the exact type of person who could spin team her way into some good answers and give him a tougher time at the end. So I do think that even if Enzo had put him up, because literally Cody had said, I don't care. I do think his ego would have been bruised a little bit, but he would have not cared ultimately because he knows that, like, it's in Enzo's best interest to do this, even though he has no intent of getting rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Perfecto. All right. Yeah, no, I get, like, honestly, I need to play this sound drop. I saved it for a reason, but
Bro. No, they're not. Are they laughing at me because I suck? No, they're laughing at you, Enzo.
That was the best part.
So cute.
so
And
good.
that argument carried over to the next commercial break. There's no argument about that. And Enzo just does not get the fact that he's just a funny guy.
Yeah.
And they were like,
His mannerisms are funny.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was like moving around was funny.
And so
Which is the
excited to
crazy
be
part.
there.
Because like Enzo, like his whole thing was like, I want everybody to like me. That's my strategy. And yet all of a sudden he forgets it in the final two when he's giving his speech. He's like, oh, I forgot that they kind of like me. They're laughing with me. Like, come on, they're not laughing at you, dude. Come on. Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Junior's thoughts. Oh, hello, Junior. Did Enzo have a shot at all tonight against either of them?
No.
No.
Well, against
Enzo.
Nicole. No, in fact, I don't think against Nicole either. Sorry.
No.
Because in order for Enzo to get there with Nicole would have had to cut Cody, and that would have given her the game.
Exactly.
So Enzo's
She
drowned
would've
dead.
completed.
Be happy with your 50K, honey. Sayonara.
Yeah, the only way Enzo wins, especially if we're only looking at it from the final three onwards, was him winning that comp and him cutting Cody. Other than that, it was sayonara Enzo. At best, you're 50K in it up, which he did, and I think that he knew that that's what he's getting, and he was happy with that piece of the pie. So,
I agree.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. So we have. Let's see. Here's the thing, right? So Brent, at the start of all this tonight, you came through and you said, "I have a little bit of a reveal. Y'all need to sit through the podcast, and I will reveal it up." So I believe that you have something to share with us today.
I do. I'm really excited about this. So for those of you who got to watch last season, Taran Armstrong and I got to recap Sequester Season 3. We did that on Mondays because the show airs on Sundays, and it was really a lot of fun. I also got to do the interviews for Sequester Season 3, and that was, the first time I'd ever gotten a chance to do that. Well, once again this year for Sequester Season 4, I got a chance to do the interviews, and like Sequester Season 4 has taped. It is ready to air. In fact, the premiere is going to be on November 29th, which is a Sunday. And I am excited to say that tonight we get to reveal and like break some news about the first person who will be revealed as playing on the cast of Sequester Season 4. Pooya.
I love this. This is phenomenal. This is breaking news. We're about to reveal the whole thing, and like, hold up.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the situation, Brenda. This is like coming out live right here, right now. I got to break some news to you myself. According to our behind-the-scenes producer, the photo that we've been given for the reveal tonight is not the right person. Audrey sent us the wrong photo.
She did.
Yeah, no, I am not messing with you. This is what I'm being told. I'm just a messenger. Don't take me out.
Joke. I was like, I don't get the setup, but okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no,
I'm here
this
for
is
it.
well, I mean, like, this is a live show. Like, there's an easy way to solve this. Scott St. Pierre, why don't you just show us the picture of the person who's playing on Season 4?
Oh!
Oh my god!
I knew it!
Oh my god, I started to think it.
Yes! How do you like them apples?
Yes!
When did you guys tape this? Is this why you were not on the podcast for a bit?
Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
Everyone was like, "Where's Brent? Where's Brent?" And I was just like,
I was talking about it with Jojo, who you know is my friend, and he told me about like the whole reveal, and I'm like, I know it's Brent. It has to be.
This is so exciting.
I have to say, like, I'm not normally a fan of pictures of me, but
You're
God
so
damn, I
handsome.
love that picture.
Really feeling yourself, huh?
Freaking evil in that picture. I sent it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Brent, you look so evil and sinister." Like, and like, I didn't tell her anything.
Sexy.
Right?
Brent, when you were like, make sure you like have a good reaction for the person, I was like, okay, I guess this is a genuine I was like, I'll just like say something, but this is a genuine reaction.
I thought you actually had a clue, because like I was like,
No.
I'm gonna be
She
excited.
didn't. It was
no
clear to me.
idea.
So before the show, I warned Chantel and Melissa, because I didn't tell them it was me, but Chantel definitely had an idea,
I had
right?
no clue.
But Melissa, so I'm like, okay, just make sure you react, because it's an audio podcast. 99% of the people listen on the audio podcast. So we want to make sure, like, you don't just do this. We want to make sure you say something. And so Melissa's like, so do I know this person? And I'm like, I have a pretty good idea you do.
That's who I think it is.
And then but she kept going on like, but is this person like, is this?
I was like, is this a Big Brother person? Like, would I recognize them?
Yeah, she had no freaking clue. So yes.
Oh my god. Well,
so,
this is very exciting.
Right? You're gonna get to shade me on my season or applaud me. Yes, you never know. I'll say this. You'll definitely get to shade me. So I can't say much, but I can reveal a few things that Audrey said I could reveal. Two main things. Number one, for those of you who have put up with the paletless, colorless, terrible season of Big Brother, where it was just a march to the end and no fun whatsoever, let me tell you that this season of Sequester is for you. I mean, like, look, it's not going to be boring because I'm on it, and I'm not boring, right? All right. So there's that. It's just for those of you who don't understand Sequester is a live show, or not a live show. It's a show like Survivor Big Brother. It's a social strategy game where everybody lives in a house and forms alliances and votes people off. The difference in Sequester is that the twists change from round to round. The structure of the game changes from round to round. You have to adapt and try to make your way to the end. And there's a $2,500 prize waiting for you at the end. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that I have talked to people in the past about, like promoting Sequester. And what I have to tell you about this season of Sequester is, honey, the money is on the screen, both video and audio wise. First of all, everyone is wearing mic packs, just like on Big Brother. So like you can hear every whisper, every conversation, everything you didn't think you were going to be able to hear before. You're going to be able to get to hear it now because it's just like on Big Brother. I love that. And number two, the video quality is absolutely astounding. Every camera is like professional quality. Like it just looks so good. I got to see some of the raw footage, and I am super excited about it. And I'm also excited to reveal, everyone else who's on the cast, but because this is the finale for Big Brother.
This is the important one.
Yeah, this is the important one. But
no, I mean, give me the other ones. This one was meh. I'm kidding. Like Cody was kidding, making jokes about Keisha's name. I'm also kidding, Brent.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited to see what you cook up, and I'll be checking it out for sure.
Thank you. I have one more little bit of tea. This is my teaser I was authorized to leave you with. So I am playing on the season, but I am not the most notable person playing on this season of Sequester. Ooh. There is someone playing on this season of Sequester who is far more notable than I. And as Julie Chen says, I will leave you with that.
So
I don't remember.
Are you going to
Keep
also
face.
be covering the season as it goes along?
Huh? What'd you say? Yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, Chantel. Yes, obviously, because I'm on the season, I'm not going to be covering the season. Two things. Number one, Taran Armstrong, not me, did the interviews for season 4. So all of Taran's energy will be in those interviews. I have to say, my interview with Taran was really out of this world. It was like, I can't believe this is happening.
That's so crazy.
Right? And so as far as like the RHAP coverage, I don't know who's going to be doing the coverage. I just know it's not me because I'm not going to be there, right? Chantel, I would love for you to come by. Like anybody in the class of 2020, we'd love to have all you guys come by. It's ultimately going to be Taran and Rob's decision. Obviously, there's not a ton of content on RHAP right now, so I don't know how heavily Sequester is going to be covered by people outside of Taran Armstrong, but I think pretty heavily because, I mean, what else have we got right now, to be honest? You know what? Sequester's freaking amazing. And this season is amazing. If you guys want to tune in, it's on November 29th on Sunday at 8 p.m., and I will be there tweeting my thoughts. All right? Thank you.
Perfect.
Great reveal.
Big reveal, big reactions. Now, let's react to some stuff going on the network as well.
Thank you.
Here we go. So, 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, coming back with episode 17. I'll be talking to Jason, and this was a fun episode. So definitely give that a check. It's going to be a good time. And then Masked Singer back again. The World Series said no, we're done last night. So I have a whole episode of this to talk about as well. We'll be talking about it tomorrow, talking about Group C debut tonight. I watched it before Big Brother. Let me just say, I'm good at guessing stuff, okay? You'll see why. Tune in to find out tomorrow. All right. And then The Bachelorette is back, still going. It's week 3, episode 3. Haley and Amy have got all the news for you as far as the Bachelorette roast went. And then Amazing Race also happened tonight before Big Brother. And while I have not watched it, I will be. You better know that I will be, because it's been a fun season so far, and because the coverage is phenomenal when Rob, Mike, and Jessica get together to break everything down. So you bet I will be there to listen to that. And then talking with T-Bird.
Ooh, I'll listen to this one. Who is this?
Oh, yeah. It is the one, the only Jerry Manthe.
The Black Widow.
And T-Bird. Talking, catching up on all the things. Very excited for that one, so be sure to check that out as well. And then there's a reason why we started with 6 and 2 people had to jump out of the helicopter in Rob and Taran. They went to do the thing that we would appreciate, get all the answers from the final 3 and the America's Favorite House guests. So they're talking to them right now. We'll be hearing, like was mentioned earlier, we're going to get the audio version of that in the feed tonight. And then the video, keep your eyes peeled for the video over on the YouTube channel, the RHAP YouTube channel, and those should be there. And trust me when I say, if there's anybody in the business who has questions that we want answered, it's going to come from these two, so definitely check those out.
Right.
That's right. And then, hey, if you are trying to find out why Cody won and you're still not sure, don't worry about it. David Bloomberg and Jessica Lewis have got you covered with Why Blank Won. That'll be out at some point this weekend as well. And then, you know I'm going to big this one up because I have relationships with one of them. That's right. Me and Mike Bloom go. No, I'm kidding. It's the finale of Big Brother. That means it's the finale of the B&B. I think they've gotten a lot of material sorted with some of the wacky stuff we've seen from these last couple of episodes. So be sure to check that out. There's not going to be... Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say, like, they've done a really good job, Mike and Liana. I don't, like, often tweet about my thoughts or leave comments or whatever, but, Liana and Mike have done a really good job. I think that, like, I actually think Big Brother is a better show for the B&B than Survivor because, like, so much crazy stuff happens on Big Brother. Like, it's more of a silly show, and which I think goes well with their podcast, yeah.
Yeah, no, I do think there's so much wackiness in Big Brother to talk about. And honestly, in a season that has had been a bit of a slog, been slow, they've just been firing on all cylinders every chance they get. And, they haven't stopped. Survivor happened. They did that. They went through the wiggle through time. They did that. And then they done Big Brother. We thank them for all their work. And definitely we'll be checking out all the stuff that's going to be going on with them on the BBB&B finale. Check that out this weekend. And then, after all that's said and done, there's been a lot of content that's been available. Rob does a great show, pre-show. He did one today as well before Big Brother. Patron only. If you would like to become a patron, there are a lot of perks there. He does a show with Nicole, First Lady of Podcasting, Sesternino. And he does one every week talking to the patrons. That's all available. robhasawebsite.com/patron for more information there. You find an amazing community. There's a Facebook group. There's a Discord. There's a lot going on and a lot of involvement ready to be had. And last but not least, you want to find us on social media. Every episode has clips that will be highlighted. You can find those on Instagram over at RHAP Grams. You can find them on Twitter and Facebook at Rob Has a Podcast. Plugs for shows that have come up, links for them, clips of them, little snippets, all available on the social media. So definitely get involved with those. Follow those if you can. All right. And it's going to be a big week. America's Favorite House guest vote happened, wrapped up. We got the result we wanted. It's always important to get ready to vote. Make sure you're registered. Make sure you're ready. Election day is on the 3rd. That is next week. It's going to be a week. But make sure you got that going and vote early.
And do not mail your mail-in ballots. At this point, use a Dropbox. It's too late. Just put it in the Dropbox. It's very easy. It's very simple. That's what I did. They're all over the place. You can go online and find your Dropbox.
Yep, and Masked Singer, they've been doing a thing where they have now they'll have the judges do a first impression guess, and they drop it in a slot. And then tonight they did a parody of Drop It Like It's Hot with Drop It in the Slot. So do that. Use that parody for this. Go drop it in the ballot slot, okay? We're good there. Obviously, I'm about to pass it to y'all. We're going to talk about where everyone can find you. I just want to do a quick thank you to everyone who's been involved with this season. Everybody from the viewers who have been there every morning, every evening with the podcast, with the round table, with the Legacy Watch, with the live feed updates, with the recaps. I want a special thanks to the RHAP class of 2020. Chantel, you and the crew came through in a very big season in the midst of all this, and y'all just came through like it was nothing. And you had a great experience, and it's been a lovely experience getting to know all of you. So I thank the RHAP Class of 2020 members. And shout out to everyone who did live feed updates with Taran. Shout out to everyone who came through and did the recaps. And then, of course, while you're both here, before I let you guys even say goodbye, shout out to the LFC, Brent, Melissa with 3 A's, or just Melissa with 1 A, and Taran, who have been here through thick and thin, not only this season, the prior season, the off season, season 19. So thank you to all of you for doing everything you have. And of course, thank you to our leader, Rob Cesternino, who has made all of this possible and has given us the platform to really get to share our opinions and our passion for this lovely, wacky, frustrating, happy, loving show, all the things that we feel. All right. Okay, let me exhale for a second. Let's start with you, Chantel. Let the people know where they can find you. What are you going to be up to, and all the things.
Well, I definitely also want to say I'm so blessed to be part of this little family that you guys have going on here. Like, my mom has been watching you guys for a long time, and she encouraged me. She's like, you got to see this guy, Rob. Do you remember him on Survivor? And telling me about his game. He has his podcast. It's so good. And she's been with you guys from the very beginning and brought me in a little bit later. And it's just been something that we watched together or listened to, or did you hear what so-and-so said? And so, the fact that you brought, I'm a part of something that I've been watching with my mom for so long, not just the reality TV portion of it, but the recaps with all you guys, has been such a treat, a blessing, so blessed, so honored. So thank you. If you want to find me, I'm just kind of working on my own little YouTube channel. So it's called Reality Realness with 3 S's, and I'm just doing all the talking. You know why we have the three. You got the 2 is gone or the 1 is gone. So you're just
Right, totally.
Just add a 3rd one and make it a thing. So Reality Realness with 3 S's.
I love it.
And talking about, that train wreck of a season of The Bachelorette, obviously doing a little bit of The Amazing Race and The Masked Singer. We go live at 2 usually every day and talk about something. So that's what's happening over there.
Lovely. From 3 S's to 3 A's, Melissa. Let the people know what are you going to be up to? Where can they find you and all those lovely things?
Yeah, I mean, look, this has been one of those seasons, where you're kind of just trudging through it, but there are some great moments, and I'm happy to be trudging through it with all of you. It's so fun to be able to talk about it and to come on every week and, either rant or be killed or be rating or whatever we're doing. It's always a fun time. So, I love Big Brother. I love Rob Has a Podcast. So, and I love all you guys and all the listeners and the chat, of course. So, I'm excited to come back next year. I'm very happy it got renewed. And so we will definitely see everyone again. In the meantime, you can check me out on all social media. It's Melissa with I have to do it myself this time because Taran's not here. But yeah, all social media, whatever. And yeah, vote.
Absolutely. And Brent, we already know where we're going to see you real soon. Yeah. But is anyone else's audio with Brent not working great, or is it just me?
It crackled for a second, but it might be okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, no, it's crackly.
It's crackling.
Crackling. I can pull it out.
All right. We'll give it a shot.
Say what you think Brent's going to say.
Yeah, Brent's going to say, you can find me on Twitter at OneLuckyGay. I'll be, check out Sequester. It's all happening. Season 4 is going to be incredible. There's an amazing guy on there, me. So check it out. It's going to be a good time.
8 p.m. Sunday, November 20th.
Oh, you're perfect now. You're good. You're
Okay,
good.
that was weird. Yeah, I guess I've never done a show this long before.
You went full Taran.
You don't know long round table all the time though. That's crazy. You can obviously find me at OneLuckyGay, and I'll be tweeting all about the season. You can also follow at Sequester Access. They will have all the details on the season. Like I said, the rest of the cast will be revealed. I told the chat in probably about 2 weeks-ish, maybe sooner. Cool. Just depends. But it's November 29th, and all you have to do is follow my Twitter. By the way, I just want to say really quickly, Chantel, I know that you said that it's your pleasure to be here. It is our pleasure to have you here. You fit in like just nobody's business. You're a brilliant podcaster. You always have a smile on your face. You always make me happy to be here. Like you and the rest of the class of 2020 were needed. And I'm so glad all of you have joined us this season, and I can't wait to continue podcasting with all of you guys. You're really amazing.
No, yeah, the class of 2020 has been awesome, and it's been so nice having all these new faces and all these new opinions and all these new perspectives, and it's been so great. So I'm very happy to have you all.
No, it really has been an honor meeting all of you. I would honestly, if I had a banjo, I'd whip it out and I'd start naming you one by one, be like, Marisha, I can't do that. I don't have the skills. I do not have the skills. I don't want to leave anybody out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I love all of you. Honestly, it's been an honor. It's been an honor. You can find me on all social media platforms, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. It's Puyaism for all three. I've already mentioned the 2 podcasts that I'll be moving forward with now that Big Brother has come and gone. Until BB 9, of course, that'll be coming back at some point. Excited about that. 23 is coming. Big Brother 23 is coming back. For me, it seems like I don't think we're going to get a winter one. The way she said it didn't really make me think there's a winter one. But BB 9 will be there in the winter, so you better look out for that. And yeah, that's about it from me. That's about it from all of us. For one last time from the 4 of us, I hope you have a good time. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. You know, I don't have a Julie Chen proverb for you. When it hits 11:01 tomorrow and you're like, wait, what did I used to do? Just have some extra rest, make yourself a new batch of coffee or something. Just have a good morning and think of the fact that Taran's in a slumber mode and hibernating. And yeah, but you're not going to lose out on any of us. We're always going to be there. You can find us on social media. You can find us on the podcast. Just stay hydrated. Have a good one. And remember, it's worth noting that everyone's a winner and no one's a 2-time winner. Good night.